Okay. Hello, everyone. Come on, come on, Leela. I'm trying to convince my cat to join us. Leela, come on. Bibi, Leela, come here. Good girl. Her legs have been like acting kind of weird. Good girl, Leela. This is my cat, Leela. Leela, say hello to everyone. Um, yeah. So, anyways, sorry. I don't need to apologize, but um, I'm a little bit later than I thought I was today. But I'm still proud of myself because I went live and I said that I would, and I didn't bitch out. So, and I actually spent that time like pretty well, I think, in terms of like just looking a lot deeper into stuff and just getting a lot like more, I guess, like prepared for this live. Um, so yeah, it is also, I just want to mention, it's a little woo wooey, but like you'll come to find out that I am a little woo wooey. I feel like there's like, hold on, I'm just gonna turn down the background noise. But so sorry. I'm gonna try to get focused. So, anyways, today it's the 11/11 portal, and apparently that means that like a portal or like there's like the Lionsgate portal in like on August 8th every year, and so yeah, every year on November 11th, like 11/11 is like another portal, and they talk about how it's just like an opportunity to work with energies in order to kind of like the veil becomes thinner on these days, I guess, in terms of portals. And it's interesting because as I'll get into like as I move forward in my video pretty soon here, I'll like talk about it. But I somehow got into looking at portals and like vortexes. And I feel like they might possibly be related to this Delphi case. So I mean, if that tips you off like kind of where I'm coming from in terms of like how I conceptualize cases, like I feel like I'm very open-minded about like all different things that could be happening, but I do feel like I found some like pretty, like I don't know, undeniable connections or just like really weird coincidences, which like coincidences do happen. So if you guys can, hello, good evening, Dragon Man Sasan. Thank you for being here. Happy 11/11. Oh, also, and so like what you're supposed to do with today, like in the portal, and also like what it's good for is like creating, like basically manifesting. So they say that like anything that you do on today, like is putting out into the world, like basically you'll have just like a lot better chance at like being able to do magic. And so I like definitely wanted to make sure that I did go live today and talk about this because I think the fact that it is the portal and I'm like really wanting to get better about being consistent about coming on here and like actually following up, and because I do spend a lot of time on this stuff, so I just do feel like it I mean I just need to be sharing it with people. It's kind of like a waste not to. So and I'm like get a little bit nervous about people not agreeing with me. Like I'm like, oh, what if they think I'm stupid? But I mean I also like have thought about it a little bit and I'm like, this is my channel, like so I can kind of talk about whatever I want, and if people are not into it, then they like don't need to like tune back in. So, anyways, that's just probably more of like a me reminder than a you guys reminder. But anyways, so after that long introduction, I think I'll just I'll just say right off the bat. So earlier today, hold on, I'm gonna take a sip of water. So earlier today, so today, I'm live and it is like I said, November 11th, 2024, and the Richard Allen case, which is what I'm talking about on this live right now, um, they came back with a verdict, which was guilty. And that, like, honestly, I was pretty surprised by that. I definitely thought it was going to be a hung juror. I think I mentioned that in my live yesterday. And, it does just get me thinking a little bit more, like, after I spent all day today kind of looking pretty deep into some of like the stuff that's going on in Delphi and then hearing this come back and then also hearing interviews with like some of the locals, I know everyone's gonna just like pile on and be like, oh my god, give them a break, they've been through so much. whatever, but, like, and I hear that, but also it's kind of like, dude, if you have, like, corruption in your town, like, I don't care, like, you can't use, like, these horrible situations to, like, just get away with stuff. Like, I feel like whenever there's, like, a, like, mass or, like, school pew-pewing and they, like, try to get legislature through to, like, maybe enact some just, like, in terms of kind of restrictions on, different, like, magazine levels and stuff. I mean, it's kind of, like, ridiculous. Like, anyways, I don't need to get political about that. Like, I'm a gun owner and I hunt, like, well, I hunt partridge. I don't really hunt deer, but yeah, I grew up with guns and I, like, definitely strongly support, like, was it the Second Amendment or the first? Anyways, apparently I don't care that much about it, but it's never been at risk. So, but anyways, I do feel like some of those other, like, minor restrictions that could, like, really make a huge difference in terms of, like, whether or not you can go and, like, off, like, 150 people or if you can, like, off, like, 2. But anyways, um, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the small town and people just trying to use, like, kind of their sadness as an excuse to not actually have to address, like, difficult topics, and it's like, well, if every time something horrible happens and you say, like, "Can we not talk about this right now?" It's just, like, too soon, and it's like, it's just an excuse to not talk about it, but, so I feel that way about Delphi, and so I'm sure there might be people that get annoyed about what I'm gonna talk about, but honestly, if people just, follow along with me, you'll see that I'm not being, like, a crazy person, like, I mean, I am a little bit of a crazy person, but you'll see some of the stuff that I found is, like, pretty legit and interesting. So, okay, so the guilty verdict, I think it's sad. I feel bad for Richard Allen and, like, a lot of the, like, commentary that I was listening to through some of, like, the news stations and stuff. Like, they had legal commentators on them. I feel like a lot of people legally thought that there was not enough evidence to be able to find him guilty. So, it will be really interesting, I think, to talk to and hear from the juror members and just kind of, because it did take a couple of days. There was obviously, like, a discussion around it. Like, I feel like there's maybe a couple of people that were more inclined to say not guilty, but then, just they were kind of, like, worn down over time and figured, like, well, what the hell? Like, I mean, he probably did, let's just get this over with so we can let these poor families, like, have a break. But it's like also, that's not justice. And I do feel for the families, but also, like, I was wondering too, like, I heard some of the interviews and, like, they were, people were getting, like, choked up talking about, like, the families, like the victims' families and, um, getting the verdict and blah blah blah. And, like, I definitely feel for the victims' families, but also, like, it's kind of like, this verdict. I mean, I'm an abolitionist, to be completely honest, so I don't really agree with, like, really. I just have huge problems with the criminal justice system as a whole. But I have a lot of other, like, you know, theories and ideas that go along with that. But I'm not going to get into that right now. But just to put that out there, that's kind of like the perspective that I come from when I talk about this stuff. But sorry, I, like, smoked a little bit before I got on here, but now I'm like, what am I talking about? But yeah. So my cat's so cute. Um, anyways, so back into what I was gonna talk about during this live. So I think I'll just start from reviewing where I left off last time, which is the so what I was specifically doing was, like, reviewing the psych testimony from Richard Allen's trial. So that, like, encompassed, like, day 10, 11, I think, like, 13 and 14. And so I, like, reviewed all of it and then took some notes. And then so now I'm going to just kind of go over those with you guys and then show you some of the stuff that I like came up with. So and I don't know if I have, like, a goal necessarily for, like, how long I want to be on here, but I think I'm going to say minimally I want to stay on until, like, 12:11. So that'll be, like, a full hour from 11:11 the portal until 12:11. But we'll see. Maybe I'll be motivated to go on longer. But so yeah, so I'm gonna share that article that I was sharing before. Oh shit, I can't really see. Okay, let's see. Okay. No, damn it. You know, I'm sorry. Sorry for the technical difficulty. Um, okay, but okay, sweet. 10:10. All right, so let's get into this. I'm just gonna open it. I wish I could see this better. It's annoying. How do I make it? Oh, zoom in. Okay, nice, nice. How did I do that? I want to do that again. Sorry, I'm like kind of ridiculous when it comes to technology. Okay. Oh shit. The same problem with the stupid it's fucking slow. Oh my god. All right, whatever. Sorry for the technical difficulty. So I'm just gonna follow along on my own. The fuck is that? Mhm. All right. So I guess my bad. I'm so sorry. This is annoying. Why can't I see the present? Here we go. I'm gonna share a fuck. What happened? Share screen. Okay. Here we go. Where'd it go? Can you see? Damn it. I'm sorry. I'm super stupid. Ugh. Well, whatever. I guess. Well, no. I like do want to share that. Why is it doing this? I want to share. I want to check this. Yes. Okay. Sweet. Cool. Okay. Perfect. Thank you for your patience. Okay. Oh, mother. God damn it. Where did I go? Damn it. What is going on? Whatever. I'm sorry. I guess maybe you just can't see my face, and then maybe that's better because then I can. Oh my god. I'm sorry. Okay, hold up. It's gotta work this time. Put it all together now. There we go. Okay, thank you. Okay, so leaving back off where this is why it would be nice to like go back in and like do a live but then edit and like take out all of that wasted time right there. But anyways, I have to not be a perfectionist because that's like what stops me from actually going live most of the time. So yeah. Alrighty, I have notes too. Okay. Alrighty, so I basically am saying like general idea of the video series, providing a general overview, blah 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 blah. I already said that, and I don't know if you have seen my earlier videos, but this is going to be like my third of my video series of Delphi, and then specifically the Delphi trial relating to like prison psychology. And I actually used to hold like basically the exact same position as Dr. Walla, and in like a prison in Minnesota, like the Department of Corrections, and I've worked at like several different correctional facilities in Minnesota, and um, I have a lot of opinions about all of this, and I do feel like, yeah, and I brought up yesterday too. I found a lot of examples of like prior reports that like psych evals that I completed on people that like really reminded me of the stuff that we were hearing about Richard Allen, and talk about maybe what my like case conceptualization and like diagnosis probably would have done, like would have been if I had been treating him. So yeah. Um, let's see. Mm. And something else is also cheers. This is a cider that I'm drinking, but I what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I am no longer practicing anymore. And so I feel like I have a lot of opinions, and part of the reason, or like a huge part of the reason why I'm not practicing anymore, is because of some of the same bullshit that I had to deal with in the Minnesota prisons that I'm seeing in this Richard Allen case. So I just, when it all went down with me in the Minnesota prison, the DOC, like I was just like super beside myself and confused and like anxious and depressed. I mean, it was just like not pretty. And I like basically had like, come to Jesus moment where I was just like, I don't want to do this. Like, if this is what it is, like, I don't want to do it. So then I kind of decided to put more of my like energy and I don't know, focus towards advocacy and like research, which is like what I was more interested in anyways. But like initially when I decided to go to like grad school, I was wanting to be like a psych evaluator, specifically like, what Dr. Walla was and what I did. But then once I actually started doing it and like I was just like, "Oh, is this it?" Like, I was like, kind of like, "I don't wanna do this forever." So then and I think that anyways, I don't need to go into my whole, like, spiel about that, but I definitely have some feelings, and you might pick up on that as I, like, discuss things, um, because some of the stuff is crazy, like, that they do, and I'm just like, "How is this even legal?" And I do feel like, fuck them. Like, they shouldn't be able to get away with this stuff, like anyways, let me get into some of the stuff that I found out about, Delphi. So, um let's see. Sorry, I'm like I took a lot of notes. This is the other, I just need to be more chill. Like I could just sign on and like review this stuff myself without being like I have 35 pages of notes and but then spend the whole time just like reading the notes, you know what I mean? And not just talking. Okie dokie. So blah 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 blah. Picking up where I last left off, day 10. Oh, okay, so I talked about in the last video that I put out yesterday, which was basically me just talking about what I was going to be talking about today. But a lot of the testimony that was from the like correctional, well, it's interesting too. Like so this is all day 10, and it involves like I think 9 different men from that are like involved and were witnesses for the state regarding Richard Allen's like incarceration period, and like it sounded like from all the reporting, so it was like the warden who is now the ex-warden because of like issues, which I also looked into, and so I can share that with you. But and then so it was the warden, and then it was 8 other witnesses. But then as I was starting to look like who they were, so I was like googling their names and like kind of looking what their history was and like if they had any like I don't know, just to see what was up like with their names on Google. And as I started like looking into it, I was like you'll see like my notes. I'm kind of like, what is going on? This is crazy. But then I realized that like all of those 8 like correctional officers or correctional staff that they talked about in the like reporting on the trial, like they make it sound like they're correctional officers, but they're actually just offenders. Like offenders get jobs like within the prison system like a lot. Like sometimes if you're like if you have poor behavior, then you get fired from your job, or like I would work like with a lot of guys that would always be like kind of troublemakers, and like half the time they were like starting over at like the like B unit because or B block or whatever, because that's where all the people that didn't have jobs and like always got in trouble like lived. So, but you can kind of have like some sort of like routine and normal life in prison. But like if you are always like acting out, like it's definitely a choice in prison to like behave or not. Like there's definitely like just as many opportunities, if not more, to like do screwed up stuff in prison, you know. So, but anyways, so they talked about how he was on suicide watch and that he was treated really differently from everyone in the facility, and that he was meeting daily with the psychologist. Which, okay, so I'm gonna get into, I don't know, hopefully this isn't too boring for people, but I don't know, I think it's kind of interesting, and I just spent like the last 8 hours kind of like reading into some of this stuff, so I'm gonna share it with you and not judge myself about it. But um, so yeah, like I found like all the different examples of the different types of like mental health reporting and charting that you can do. And it's definitely like confusing the way that it's reported, like on this like website that I was getting these. It was like from a news station, and they were publishing like a written article that reviewed every day like what was going on, and then they would have like commentary sometimes like on the channel. Anyways, I can't remember what station it was, but I'll find out. I think it's actually just found here. Like Bob Siegel from WTHR, which I have no idea what that is. What would that be? It might be WTHR. No, I have no idea. So okay. I'm gonna just so yesterday I did start to kind of explain the differences between the different types of reports and the evaluations, and what they're used for, and like kind of the different requirements that are like made for each one, and like what is required for certain considerations and like rulings. And so I don't know, I make it sound like kind of vague there, but I'll get into like more of the specifics here. So let me just see how I want to go about this, because I was like, no, honestly, that might be kind of boring to talk about. Well, okay, so I will talk about the soap notes because I think those are probably like the most important. They are basically what you would do if like I don't know if people if you're familiar with like different medical charting, and it's really similar in that manner where you kind of give shift like logs or like shift reports at the end of each shift, because it's like a 24-hour facility, and then it gets typed up into like an overall like building wide like incident like report compilation or whatever, and you can access it from the like shared database like within the DOC like system or network or whatever. So, and they're like super anal like about the system, which is something that I noticed in her testimony too, because like you're not even like I actually found a way to like trick the computer, but like the computers are set up like within the prison to not be able to access like any type of like just like I don't know, like the internet, you know what I mean? Like they don't want people, they're like afraid that they have, I don't, it's weird. It's like, why can't the staff access that stuff? You know, like they like purposely would restrict staff from using certain websites, which to me, I'm just like, dude, why? Like we have our own offices. Like this is what, like we're not in prison too. You know what I mean? But anyways, I found like a way around it because I also have antisocial uh personality traits. But yeah, you can like I like found out if you downloaded Chrome, and like that was like since it was like a different like I don't know platform, the like systems didn't recognize it like on the network computers, so then you could actually access like a lot of websites that you weren't supposed to be able to like like you, I don't think you're supposed to even be able to access like Gmail. Like I would have had to have all of my emails forwarded, and it was like so annoying too because I had like whatever. But yeah, the DOC definitely makes it like really difficult to work there. Like they make everything just harder than it needs to be. And it's just weird. So, anyways, so yeah, the soap notes are basically when someone um meets with someone that is having like a mental health concern. They It's basically someone that needs like one-on-one attention in terms of like behavioral or mental health. They might have like an ongoing like treatment like regimen where they meet with like a therapist like once every 2 months or something. Like that's really rare in a prison actually. And I mentioned this yesterday too, and I feel like it's important to like keep reiterating is that like the psychology world in prison is like a completely separate world from like the psychology world like in the community. And I just feel like people that haven't worked in the prison system that come from the psych community or like any other like type of community that's not, a correctional community, they're like, "What the like, really? That's how you guys do it there?" You know what I mean? And it's like, I feel like mental health, behavioral health never gets like SA really in terms of like the final say and stuff. Like, yeah, we get to decide if like, offender will go on like controlled observation like status, which is like where they're being monitored because they're like a risk to harm themselves or others. And like that's what they put Richard Allen on for a while, which it doesn't, and that's like it gets weird with that too. So, yeah, let me just like I feel like right now I'm just kind of like talking randomly. So maybe like I'll just continue reviewing, and then when stuff comes up like within the context of the reporting it, then I'll like specify it and go into it a little bit more. I like just prep stuff too much, I think. So, okay, let's see here. I think you said start at page 15. What page is this? Oh, 5. Okay. All right. What is I'm confused. Me too. All right, here we go. So this is Gallup-io or whatever. Sorry. Also the highlighter. I don't know what's going on with like the different resolutions between my iPad and my computer, but when I can just definitely see easy highlighted on my iPad, if I put it on my computer, it's like you can't see it at all, and I don't know how to change it. So my apologies. Yeah. So let's see. It says it's kind of annoying to not be able to fucking read this. All right, so basically the only actual staff person that we hear from, like not an offender, like an actual employed, but no longer employed, this guy, like specifically, because he is shady as fuck. But the shady as fuck dude is the only actual like employed, like, not in prison dude that is saying that they heard all of these confessions. So I just feel like doesn't seem super reliable. And like I don't know the specifics and like maybe more will come out, but like I know that for sure the warden, he got fired because he was like found to be breaking like the law in terms of like he basically was like scamming the system. Like he was living at the warden's house and he wasn't getting rent taken from his like paychecks automatically. And then he also I think what was it? I don't know. I wrote it down somewhere. Did I write it down somewhere? Yeah, I did. Hold on. Hold that thought. Okay. So Google Tim, kind of disturbing. This is what I saw. For one, okay. So I did take notes on this. Good job, me. Okay, so this is Westville Correctional Facility, which is where Richard Allen was for 13 months, and he was the warden there up until I actually don't know when he left. I might have written it down, but so he used to be the head of a juvenile girls facility. Like that's what came up on Google when I was like looking into him, and I was like, and it almost looked like there was like a Netflix like documentary about the like it was like a juvenile girls place, and I just was like, oh my god, I can't go down that rabbit hole right now. Um, so it's just interesting that I mean, if anyone wants to like look into that and like update me, but it's his name is I wish I would have written I don't know if I saw a name for the actual documentary or whatever, but the dude's name is John Gallipeau. So it's Gallipeau. So he was the warden at Westville Correctional Facility and in Indiana. And it sounds like maybe before that he was the headmaster warden at a girls juvenile facility. So that this and I also feel like as you'll see some of the stuff that I was finding out like I'm and also like this is obviously I am like looking at it from like a biased perspective. So I mean I'm seeing maybe a lot of associations that just are pretty normal and I'm maybe making more of it than it should be, but like I do feel like I keep seeing like kind of similar trends coming up and it's like the fact that there's like he was involved with like a teenage girl, like, facility, and like this crime is involving teenage girls and like them each being exploited. Like I have a feeling that whatever that documentary is about is like probably not super like happy feelings or whatever, So but anyway, so he was found guilty on for state law violations, and he was fined $2,700 for breaking state law while living in the prison warden's residence. Violations included being 2 years late in signing a lease and not having rent deducted from his salary. Okay, so I was halfway right. So yeah, basically he was like not paying, which honestly I'm kind of surprised that he has to pay like to live in the warden's house. Like, does the governor have to pay to live in like the governor's mansion? Like, does the president have to pay to live in the White House? I don't know. But also it's kind of weird that like there was like warden residence. I mean, this is like from back in the day where like, you know, prisons have always basically just been like if you really look into the history of the criminal justice system and like when policing actually kind of started in the United States, and a lot of it actually does go back to Indiana and like Delphi, Indiana, and a lot of the settlers and stuff. And so I'll talk about that too as it comes up. But I yeah, you'll see that like well, yeah, I'll just show you guys as like I guess as it comes up. But it does seem like a lot of these politicians are also like part of secret societies that are part of like clubs that are like able to have a lot of power and like get away with things like not paying taxes or like living in places for free and like no one saying anything about it. And I don't know, like forcing people to like suck their while they're like, saying, "Oh, we'll take off your ankle bracelet." Like that's what happened in the Kentucky case with the sheriff and the judge, like in Letcher County. I just made a video on that like 2 weeks ago, like a week ago. So if you have not watched it, I would say like you should watch that. Also, if you're here, thank you so much for being here. And if you could subscribe, that would be super awesome. Like I'm trying to get to 500 by the end of the year, and like it's free, and like I won't ask after I get 500. I swear to God. So it'd just be cool if you're not subscribed. If you could do that, I would appreciate you so much. And I'll remember my people, like you guys, like you'll be my old G's, like once you know things kind of start taking off or whatever. See, I'm manifesting on 11/11. But anyways, yeah. So anyways, moving on. Okay, I guess I didn't say. Oh yeah, no, the juvenile girls facility was the weird thing. Probably could just show you on Google, but whatever. I have enough other things to show you. So then it goes into the testimony from this guy named Ethan Drang, which is on page 16. Damn it, I can't. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay. See here it says a Westville correctional officer. This dude is not a correctional officer. He is like an inmate, and they pay him like 10 cents an hour to like definitely have too much like power like in the prison. I mean, it's like pretty surprising to me that they had offenders filling this role. Like it just seems it's I don't know, it seems pretty inappropriate, but honestly like they did do that like at when I worked at Rush City. Yeah, I've worked at Rush City, Lino Lakes, and Stillwater in the correctional facilities in Minnesota for the Department of Corrections in Minnesota. And like I've worked in two different sex offender programs, like one in Rush City and then one in Lino Lakes. Like Lino Lakes is considered like a medium level facility, and then Rush City is like a higher level one, and then Stillwater, which is not really a treatment facility. Like I think they have like one treatment program that's like for like substance stuff, but besides that, it's basically just like people that they just work, it's like for long-term offenders. So, I mean, people start moving to like lower levels as they start getting closer to being released. And a lot of times, like when you get incarcerated, like part of your sentencing will include like requirements for completing like substance abuse treatment and like sex offender treatment too, like SO, I'll call it SO treatment. And so as you start coming up closer and closer to like your would be like potential parole date, they will start putting you through these treatment programs. And like some of the treatment programs, like the SOTP programs that I worked at Rush City and at Lino, like, I mean, that would take years to finish. So, I mean, it wasn't, but you get paid to go to treatment too. But I think it's like definitely a good idea. People are like, I should get paid, but I'm like, this is not a bad thing that they're like getting these like access to these like skills, like literally like shit that could probably save people's lives in the future if we just give it to them. You know what I mean? So we're already only paying them 10 cents. Like, I don't know. Like, isn't that what prison's supposed to be about? Is like trying to rehabilitate and like make the community safer. Like it just seems like a lot of people that are running the prison systems are not thinking about that, and they're like looking at it as profit, and I definitely don't think that they ever look at it from like a offender perspective, you know. And that's why it's like the differentiation between like law enforcement and then like, you know, just like minority communities and just like impoverished communities and stuff. Like I don't know, it's pretty crazy. And oh, what I was gonna say too, like if you do look into like the history of the criminal justice system in America, it basically started like the actual policing started when slavery became illegal. And so it was like basically a way to try to like still control and like enslave like black people. And they would say that they like ran away, or it was like because there's still places that had slavery at the time. And like so they were trying to like I just lost my train of thought, but hopefully you guys know what I was. I'm pretty sure I was close to being done talking about that. And explaining it. So, anyways, sorry. Sometimes I can be kind of ditzy, but it's been a long day. I like was gonna come on earlier, but then I just kept like reading all of this stuff. So, anyways, I'm gonna keep going. And I mean, I don't know. I could potentially be on. I don't like right now. It feels good just getting like this stuff out there, even though, um, yeah. So maybe I'll just see. I was thinking about maybe like trying to meet someone for a drink later, but at this point, if it's like midnight and it's like, I don't know, I did feel like it would have been nice to get out and get some fresh air tonight, like since I've been kind of cooped up in here all day. But anywho, so back to this. So this guy, okay, let me show you guys this. All right, so Ethan Drang was an offender who was like watching over whatchamacallit, um, Richard while he was in segregation, like unlawfully, unconstitutionally in segregation. And hold on. Okay, so I need to. Oh, let's see here. Yes. Okay, so here's a website that I found that was related to Ethan Drang. Okay, yeah, right away. See, this is stuff that's like I feel like relevant. So, anyways, I googled this. This is from June 22nd, 2024. So this dude wrote these logs like as a correctional officer. No, 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 wait. I'm so confused. Okay, that's not possible. Okay, I don't know. I'm confused. That's why as I was like beginning to do these, like looking into these things, I was like, wow, this is messed up. Like, how could all of them have been involved with all of this and like still be correctional officers? And that's when I figured out eventually, like, oh no, they're offenders. So it's weird that this one is coming up as June 22nd, 2024. Okay, so anyways, it says 6 people were recently arrested as a result of an operation conducted by the Marshall County Drug Task Force. So something about the drug task force is like I feel like we've been hearing that a lot lately come up in some of these cases, like in Idaho, and like they just did like a pretty big bust. I think in Boise, and then it also was like linked with other arrests, like I think in Florida and Arizona, and like I can't remember where else, but um, it seemed to be like when I listened to the press conference that it was like a we're all working together type thing, and um, taking down like a pretty big, like a substantial portion of like this, like um, basically gang, you know. So, but So yeah, okay, anyways, really shady part about the documentation showing inconsistencies with, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's true too. Okay. But anyways, let's go back to this. So the operation conducted by the Marshall County Drug Task Force in conjunction with the Indiana State Police met 43 Marshall County's Sheriff's Department, Plymouth Police Department, Fulton County Sheriff's Department, and the Stark County Sheriff's Department. So I think something else that I just like kind of amazed me when I found out about this, and I'm sure like everyone probably knows about this, and I was just dumb, but like when they okay, like they don't share stuff. Like, I mean, it's totally kind of like bad blood, and I feel like it's very like they don't really respect each other. And I don't know. I feel like you always nowadays get all this praise for the way like all the different law enforcement like entities or communities work together so well. And like I feel like every single like press release or presser or whatever is always just law enforcement like fucking kissing their own asses basically. Like they're like, first I'd like to say we just did so amazing with everything about this case. And also we have no arrests and we have nothing else to say. And it's like, I don't know, it's like just get over yourselves. You know what I mean? Do you really need that many like like affirmations to like feel good about yourselves? Like you already have like all the power in the world. And like it's just crazy. But anyways, but it's interesting now that they do say like, oh, they all work together. But it's weird to think about like, there's this federal level, and then there's like the state police, and then there's like the well, yeah, the federal is the FBI, but then there's like federal within states. So there's like the FBI within Idaho, and then there's like I think just the FBI, like, overall I actually don't really know how that works, but then, yeah, they have state police, and then they have, like, different sheriff's departments, and, like, I don't know if it must go by county, because like, yeah, Hennepin County where I live and, like, Ramsey County and St. Paul, like, they have their own, like, sheriff's deputies, and so, yeah, that makes sense, but, I guess that makes sense then for, like, everywhere else in the United States, but, sometimes I feel like there's, like, townships and I don't really know, like, necessarily how jurisdictions work, but I definitely know I remember, like, when we were trained on our, radios, like, for the DOC, like, it was pretty interesting because they were talking about, like, being able to go across, like, a certain amount of different, like, lines or station I don't know what you call it, like, channels, I guess, and it was it was, like, from, like, 21 channels on, like, 8 different, like, whatever frequent like, whatever it is, just multiple options, and everyone has kind of their own little I'm sure you guys know how radios work, but I feel like what they said was like from 9/11 when that happened and like just sure really hit the fan, which also recently I have just become so obsessed with 9/11. But that's for a different day. But honestly, it's like I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. I've just become obsessed with the Reddit about 9/11 and just thinking about like, well, what would have happened to those people on that floor then? And like when you look at this picture, like why is there like random windows like 10 floors above like the impact zone, like, busted out and burning? And I don't know, I'm done. Anyways, it's pretty interesting 9/11. But anyways, like when I learned about these radios and they said for the reasons why they started really trying to work together to figure out how to cross radio frequencies is because when all these first responders like tried to show up to help at 9/11 and like Manhattan or whatever, that they had no way to communicate with one another because none of them shared the same channels as one another. And that's the same thing with like, I mean, they like will put these huge like boxes worth of like walkie-talkies or radios like out in the middle of like the woods places too. And just be like, if there's ever an emergency, like that's like, a stock option for us to kind of like be able to make sure that we can be like, wildfire or something like that. I don't really know why they would do that, but I guess it does make sense. Like, um, if there is like some type of national emergency to be able to have access to like all the different channels of like emergency services. But anyways, I digress. I do go on tangents a lot and I'm sorry, but it is what it is. So it says according to information released by the Marshall County Prosecutor's Office, A search warrant executed at a residence in Plymouth. Okay, see, I feel like I don't know if this is for sure in Indiana, but I think it is. Um, okay, after a lengthy investigation that yielded the purchase and discovery of approximately 354 grams of suspected methamphetamine. I can't say it right, just meth, and several pounds of ammonium nitrate, several blister packs of pseudoephedrine, and a methamphetamine lab on the property. Wow, that's hardcore. Um, it says Nathan Vandera, double A at the end. He must be like Norwegian or Finnish. Okay, Nathan Vandera. Oh, that's his picture. Okay, this dude, a former Indiana State Police officer, and Amy Day, this lady, are currently being held on charges of dealing in meth as a level 2 felony, possession of as a level 3 felony, manufacturing as a level 4 felony, and maintain a common nuisance. What is that? Maintain a common nuisance as a level 6 felony. Vandera and Day have a bond of $50,000 cash. Ethan Drang. Oh, Ethan Drang. Oh, Ethan Drang was booked into the Marshall County Jail on a charge of visiting a common nuisance. What the hell does that mean? Madison Brody, Austin Vandera, and Ashley McMillan were booked into the Marshall County Jail on a charge of possession of marijuana and bonded out of jail. The county prosecutor, Nelson Chipman, stated that he is forever grateful for this coordinated effort. Like I said, like fucking let's suck each other's dicks a little bit, Good job, guys. Like it's like, yeah, that's your job. Good job for doing your job. And you probably did it super shitty, you know what I mean? Stated that he is forever grateful that this coordinated effort to remove this poison from our community. Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Nicholas Langowski, who oversees the Drug Task Force, wanted to thank the efforts of all law enforcement agencies involved. Okay, what I was going to say about that Drug Task Force thing is, I don't know if people remember this. I'm just going to share this right now. I was like waiting for like a better time to be like, when should I bring this up? But I don't know. You guys have probably all heard about this a bunch, but like, I think it's definitely relevant, and I don't. Maybe people that aren't following this case haven't heard about this, but I'm gonna share this. Like, so I saw this on Reddit, and then I started going down these like rabbit holes with some of this stuff. And I mean, I have a lot. I'm not gonna get into like all of the information on this, but um, it's kind of crazy. Like, some of the weird stuff. Okay. Night Dragon Man says on. Hi, Jenny. Okay, wait. You should dig into Luttrell, Nick's lawyer in crime. He ruined a doctor's practice and livelihood. Luttrell just had his butt handed to him in a recent civil suit. Interesting. Okay, I don't know who, okay, Nick's lawyer in crime. Who's Nick? That must be one of the defendants. Is he Rosie? Okay. He ruined a doctor's practice. How? Oh, a civil suit. Oh, but okay, interesting. Okay, well, I'm interested to hear more about that. Someone said, sad day for USA. I could really easily be RA and me, the same fate. For sure, be on fire, 100. Like, I completely agree with that. And it's honestly, I mean, honestly, I was really surprised to hear, like, that they all found him not guilty. Like, that's bullshit. Like, I want to know what the hell went down in that jury room. I think that it's just so, I don't know, I have been really going down pretty crazy. I like, I don't know. Sometimes I definitely do have like minor manic episodes, I feel like, but then during those days, I feel like I find these crazy associations and connections. I know this sounds totally insane, but like I will share these with you and hopefully you guys will see what I see too. But yeah, like wait, why did I bring that up? Okay. Anyways, wait, how do I okay, I'm gonna remove that. Oh fuck. Okay, wait. Share screen. No. No way. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Oh wait. Yeah. Here we go. Noise. Where'd it go? Here it is. Yeah, but that's not gonna work. Hold it. Hold the show. Practice makes perfect, you guys. I'm so sorry. I just am not super good with this stuff yet. But let me try that again. Just make sure that. No. What are you guys saying? It's reported jury were 8-4 not. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so Beyond Fire says it's reported jury were 8-4 not guilty at the start. Eventually, 8 went to the guilty side. What the? Really? Dude, what? That's shady as fuck. Honestly, like, again, like, I don't want to go down like crazy, conspiracy theory avenues, but it's like when I heard that 12 people found him guilty, I was like, okay, like, who's watching it? Like, there's this sequestered or whatever. And I know that I've heard of like other juries that are sequestered that they have 24-hour like like what is it? Um like police basically like guarding. They are guarded to make sure that they're following the rules and also that they don't get harassed. But like I would assume usually the people that are guarding them are probably from the sheriff's department, right? Like some type of law enforcement community. And I'm like, if this is a huge, you know, kind of conspiracy or like some shady stuff going on like within law enforcement, like who's to say that these, officers or like guards that are like guarding them during this whole time aren't threatening them? You know what I mean? Um, so I mean, I'm sure it's easy to like maybe prove that that's not true, but I mean, you never know. You know what I mean? Like, definitely hear of like a lot of really shady stuff that happens in the world. So this wouldn't be that crazy. And it is pretty amazing to hear that there was 8 of them that were thinking not guilty. Like, how did they get them to find them? I mean, this is like, it's just that's crazy to me. Think about that. Like, I do. So they should write a book. When I was like getting into the Koberger trial, and that is like I'd say Delphi was like the case that I got like is like the second case that I'm like it's like my second favorite case or that I've gone really deep into it, but the number one by far is the Idaho 4 case. And oh my God, I have like just like seriously hours and hours worth of just crazy shit that I found. Like, I mean, honestly, you guys, like, I know I just keep saying this stuff, but I just have to start like, being consistent about like coming on and like just sharing some of this stuff and like not also not talking too much like I'm doing right now. But I'm sorry, but yeah, what I was gonna say about I started seeing a lot of connection with, and this is before like, so okay, when I started researching the Kohlberg, this is just what I'm gonna say real quick about the Idaho 4 case, is I spent like nights on like up really late looking into just some crazy connections, and I started seeing like all these themes come up about like ancient Greece and like pagan like Norse like just different types of like old school um like rituals and like spiritual beliefs, like more like kind of like legends and like myths and stuff. And then I was like seeing all these like it was like Greek gods like Dionysus kept coming up for me, and Loki kept coming up. And then I started like really seeing all these similarities like with Alfred Hitchcock movies. And it was like just I mean, I don't yeah, one of these nights I'm gonna just have to do that and just like focus like an hour just kind of like starting to unravel that because it's like honestly so overwhelming to think about that I'm just like, I don't even know where I can start with all this stuff. But it's just crazy. But anyways, one of the Alfred Hitchcock movies that I started to like really looking into at the time was 12 Angry Men. And like I watched it and I was like, oh my God, this is such a crazy play. I mean, that obviously shows someone who's like a good writer or, like a good, yeah, just a good writer or like playwright or author or even like, I don't know, um, blogger maybe, but like it's just like if they can keep telling these stories, like Shakespeare is kind of the same way. I know that's super cliche, but it's like there's like stories that you can just tell that are going to be timeless. Like someone is going to be able to find a way to like identify with something within that story. Like even though you may not come from that community that the play is about, like I don't know anything about like, you know, ancient Greece stuff, but I can definitely be like, oh, I felt that way before. So I can relate to that random person that has like a weird name and, sounds like is maybe some type of like half god or something, all these like crazy stories from, but anyway, so I started looking into, yeah, and then the Delphi like documents dropped last, like what was it, like spring, and it was like Odinist theory, and I was like, and it so much of it like associated with some of the like themes that I kept seeing come up in the Idaho 4 case, and I was like, that's weird, like so so yeah, that's just notable. There does seem to be a lot of overlapping stuff, and I feel like maybe it might just be like some type of um like a criminal community um network that we're starting to see getting busted and maybe should sit in the fan, and that's why people are getting like M-worded by people, and I don't know, it'll be interesting to get to the bottom of it because there's definitely something going on. But anyways, this thing is weird. Let's see. Damn it. Here we go. Okay. It says this is from Reddit. Okay, good. You can't see my name. It says on this is from a year ago. Oh wait, I took this picture. I guess I don't know. I think I took this picture a long time ago, so it was probably like 2 years ago, maybe. It says arson, dead cops, dead kids, a serial killer, and coaches on February 22nd, 2022. Weird, like 2222222. What? That's weird. Oh my god, that is weird. And it's weird today is 11/11 too. 11, yeah, but anyway, so on 22222, Sergeant Stephanie Thompson of the Indiana State Police was killed along with her 17-year-old daughter, another teenage daughter, Maya, in an early morning house fire. Notably, Sergeant Thompson was based at the Lafayette district of the Indiana State Police and was well known as a local volleyball coach, and Maya a remarkable varsity swimmer. Okay, so I'm not going to say anything about that, but I do feel like there's, a lot of these like a lot of similar clubs keep coming up. Like I feel like Purdue University keeps coming up, and I feel like people are definitely involved with like coaching or you'll see, and maybe not. So, and maybe that's just like normal in a small town community, and that's completely possible too. So, anyways, it says her older daughter, Ayanna, a student at Purdue University. What the dude? I have not read this, but like, let me. I mean, maybe Purdue, just everyone goes to it because that's like the biggest. I mean, I guess it's probably being like, oh my God, everyone went to the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. It's like, well, yeah, like it's because like they live in Minneapolis, you know what I mean? So maybe I'm just like blowing it out of proportion a little bit, but it is kind of weird. So, anyways, it says her older daughter, Ayanna, a student at Purdue University, and the sergeant's husband survived. How convenient. The home was located in Monticello, approximately 10 minutes north of Delphi. Okay. I did see a comment by a person who knows the victim on Facebook stating that the fire was set. Like, okay, sounds kind of intentional to me. Like, and I don't know what the association is, but I know I looked into it and like I'll try to get into those. This is shit that I saved like a year ago and looked into and have not revisited it like since. So I'll have to spend like a day like kind of reorganizing and get like reacquainted to all that stuff because it's like I'll go on these like 12-hour like kind of like almost like binges of just like screenshotting everything and like finding all these like crazy connections and like taking a bunch of notes. And then it's like, and I just like pass out and then I just like kind of forget about everything that I did for until, the next time that I'm like, maybe I should look into that. And then I'm like, oh my God, like I just remember all that stuff you found out. Like, anyways, it's not a great like what's the word, schedule, or I'm trying to get a little bit more healthy of a routine. So but also I'm kind of a night owl and I feel like that like maybe is my time to shine is like more of like the later night lives. Like I feel like I always try to force myself to go on during the day and I just am always like, oh my God, I'm anxious, and then end up just like kind of being frozen and then still end up just going live at night and staying up late. So anyways, these are things that I should think about later. But it says earlier on January 29th, 2022, Carroll County Sheriff's Deputy Noah Rainey and a fellow deputy jailer, another jailer, were were killed when their vehicle struck a pole during an overnight pursuit. Okay, that's weird. I think I read something else about this, and it was like a black car, like a black like truck or something. Um, it is unclear if they ever apprehended the vehicle they were pursuing. So that sounds weird too. I'm not sure this incident is related to the former and following, but it stuck out to me because of the very short time for the small local area to experience three law enforcement fatalities in two separate incidents. Wait, three? So the ISP Sergeant Stephanie Thompson, her daughter, she wasn't associated with law enforcement. Well, I guess her mom. And then, oh, two. Okay, my bad. So Carroll County Sheriff's Deputy Noah Rainey and fellow deputy jailer. Deputy jailer. So that's interesting too, if you think about that, because I just reported, like I brought up earlier, is that Kentucky case, and with in Letcher County, and it has to do with the sheriff, like pew pewing the judge, and it was in the judge's chambers at the courtroom for the um small town that they lived in Kentucky. I think it's like northeastern Kentucky or something. And okay, God, you guys, crazy connections. When I was researching that like 2 weeks ago, I didn't have enough time, or I was like already talking about too much shit that I didn't go into some of the stuff that I found out researching for that. But there's also some other really weird, like kind of offshoot incidents that took place like around there that sounds kind of similar to this type shit. Like a law enforcement officer that randomly got like shot by like someone that was randomly up in the mountains, just randomly, like pew pewing people as they drove by. You know what I mean? And like that happened, and then it also at like the same night happened in um Seattle. Like it's just like, and I feel like Seattle keeps coming up too. Like I feel like a lot of locations I see regularly for whatever reason is like Idaho, and then Northern California, and then Washington, like mostly Seattle area, but also coworker like lived in Washington too, and then also Arizona, and then now Idaho, I think maybe, but anyways, don't quote me on, and for sure Florida, and I feel like Arizona too. So many hoozles. They say more notably. Oh wait, hold up, there's more. You okay, Leela? Oh my God, my cat is like her. Good girl, Leela. You're so strong and brave. I love you so much. She's so cute. She's like on an antibiotic right now, and like I'm trying to like sneak it to her, so I have to like grind up her like a little pill and then put it into some like little like of those like wet food packets, and she just like totally puked up the last time that she ate. Like and she never pukes, so I feel bad for her. I'm sure the antibiotic is like not sitting very well with her, but she's also been like she's old, I shouldn't like she's my little one-eyed old lady, but she just turned 14 and she's such a trooper, but like just over the last like week or something, it seems like every time she like tries to like stand up, like her back, it's like her hip is going out or something. It's weird. Okay, so just to finish this up, more notably on January 14th, another overnight fire killed 5 and 12-year-old sisters Their baby sister survived with their parents who were able to escape with her. I posted, okay. I think I looked into that too, but that again was like a year ago. But so so that to me is weird. Oh wait, no, no, no. Okay, so I can't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure that this lady is affiliated with the Delphi case because she actually gave that Elvis guy his like a lie detector test or something. But don't quote me on that. I feel like I kind of remember that. And then also there's like this other guy, his name is Fencer, I think, or Fancy. Let me just double check. Um, he is a FBI agent who was part of the task force, and he was gunned down outside of the FBI offices in Indiana. I think in Terre Haute, and like, Terre Haute is weird too, like, I'd never heard of it before, but when I was applying for my internships, like, I was looking at a bunch of different, like, federal, like, correctional facilities to apply to, and the only federal correctional facility or prison that has, death row is Terre Haute, like, the federal prison in Terre Haute, Indiana, which I thought was just, like, weird because it's super close to Delphi and stuff, and, like, I feel like there's, like, a lot of overlap with the jailers and, like, the correctional officers that work in Haute, and then also, like, in all of these other towns that we're talking about too, so it's just kinda it's definitely weird how much they overlap. Oh! Oh my god, no, because okay, here's the thing. This is crazy. So Fancy, he is this FBI dude who was killed outside of the FBI offices, and he, like I said, was part of that drug task force. And again, don't quote me on this. I'll like look into this more and like re touch upon it like after I do some research because I don't remember where I even kept that stuff. But I just remembered this one screenshot. But yeah, like the person who pew-pewed and, like, took the life of this FBI fancy guy was a correctional officer from Indiana. Like, what? That's weird, that's weird. And I don't know what Fancy's role was, like, in the Delphi investigation itself, but I'm almost positive he had one, so I'll get to the bottom of that, but I'm gonna check comments real quick. Again, thank for everyone for being here. Okay, so it says, okay, sorry. Oh, same. Moscow and Delphi share many things. True. Magic sheath, magic bullet. Oh my god. I had never thought about that connection before. Huh. Very interesting. Okay, also the names of these places. Like I know that people are like, okay, whatever, that's kind of like, so I mean just not a big deal, but it is a big deal. Like these all have these, like, ancient, like, very, like, sacred sites basically tied to it, like, a lot of honestly, like, ley lines, like, which make up, like, supposedly, like, different, like, portals and, like, vortices, or I don't know, what's the plural vortex? Is it vortices? I don't know, whatever. But, yeah, so there's, like, Delphi, there's Peru, and then, like, there's, like, dude, crazy shit, dude, like and I also found a lot of, like, portals and, like, weird little vortices that have to do with, like, the coworker case too, and, like, where he went to go, like, search that night, like, and look up at the sky, like, oh my god, wait until it's crazy shit, dude. Because the thing that made me think of the vortices thing is because I started just watching some of these weird channels, and I don't know what it was, but it was like I'm, like, kind of, like, mystical, metaphysical, I'm into it, like, I don't know, I listen to different things, I'm not, like, hardcore about it, but anyways, there was, like, this weird interview with this guy, like, down in Florida, and he was, like, living at this, like, house that was, like, on top of this, like, cave, but for some reason, like, it wasn't considered a, like, government site, like, it just was, like, his backyard, but it was, like, definitely, like, a really like important and sacred like cave, and like he called it like a vortex, and he said that it like they believe that it opened like some portal to like Peru and or like somewhere in Mexico or something. And it was like somewhere on this like cross lines or whatever. Um and like I feel like the cities that all seem to like have to do with these names that overlap with these kind of just weird names. And I asked ChatGPT about that, and wait until you see what ChatGPT like. I mean, I'm almost like, should I just share it right now? But I feel like I just need to stay on track, and then because I have everything written down, like this stuff definitely will come up eventually. It's just I don't know when to, but anyways, so it says both between two girls. Yeah. Wait. Oh my god, what the fuck? That's crazy. Oh my god, dude. It's like I'm thinking about this, and like even if you think about I'm like mind blown right now because kind of the theory or like my theory about why like this would have been like a sacrificial, like a ritual type deal. And, like, especially in the Delphi one, like, and with, like, the way that they set up, like, their wine rooms and all of that, and, like, what it all connects to, like, I looked up which runes they are, and a lot of them have to do, like and Odin himself is, like, is associated with Yggdrasil, like, which is considered, like, I think it's, like, the world tree or something, but it's also where Odin, like, hung upside down for, like, 7 days, and he was halfway between consciousness and like no the mortal world and like the god world, and like in order to get to that portal or like the overlapping of the two worlds, he had to kind of become in this like limbo state, and that was the way that he got to that like state and that portal area was like by hanging upside down and basically being just like a hanging man basically for 7 days until then, like, the world's opened up to him, and then I think something about, like, 7 levels or I don't know, I mean, I definitely have a ton of information about it, but I just again, like, I just take screenshots, and then I, like, eventually will, like, revisit a year later, and I'm like, "Whoa, I can't believe that I forgot about all this stuff," but, so yeah, that's pretty trippy to think about because if you think about, like, using maybe these magic, like weapons and using that energy somehow to like manipulate it in their favor and like set up other people like set up fall guys, but also like maybe a little bit of like magic in a way too, like you said, magic sheath, magic bullet. Anyways, I like the way you think, beyond fire. Okay, so then it says what does it say, what do you say? Very sad day indeed. This isn't justice for the girls, and the people in Delphi aren't any safe. Yeah, dude, Jenny, that's exactly what I was thinking too. When I was listening to all these stupid, I don't want to call them stupid, but like these interviews with all these people, like, I mean, it just like, of course, the locals are like emotionally invested in this, And honestly, if it is a big, like, kind of like, dirty conspiracy, like, kind of like corrupt thing, it would make sense that a super small town, a super small community is going to be like, we don't want to talk about that here. Like, just shut up. And, we're happy that it's solved and we feel great. Justice has been done. It's like, no, like, I don't know. It's just interesting the way that they are responding to it. Like, if I lived somewhere, I mean, I live in Minneapolis, you know what I mean? And I live literally like 10 blocks from George Floyd Square. I lived here when it happened. I like, it was like crazy. I lived alone, and I like don't really want to say that on the internet, but that's why I don't use my real name either, which I'm sure people can figure out who I am. Like, and that's fine, but I just don't want to like make it that easy for people to like figure out where I live, because especially I feel like I'm gonna talk like a lot of shit about, law enforcement people probably. I mean, I don't hate law enforcement, I just feel like it is not necessary. And there's like a million different ways to do whatever they do, like way, way better. And it's like less stressful for everyone, you know what I mean? Way safer for everyone. It's just completely unnecessary. And that's why like and everyone gets all butthurt about like, kind of like the ACAB sentiment, but it's like, no, dude, like just think about it. It's like, and I think of it like, anyways, this is my little like soapbox, but I think of it that like not it's like all cops are bastardized, and, like, if you think about it, the system itself is bastardized, like, it is a bastardized system. There's, like, no one that can be within the system that has not been bastardized by the system, you know what I mean? So it doesn't matter who you are. Like, yes, they say like there can be good cops, but it doesn't matter. Like once you're in that system, even if you're a good cop, like the system is bastardized. Like it's never gonna be good. Period. I don't care how good you are. Like it just there's always a better way to do it, you know? And so anyways, that's just kind of my like little spiel. So hopefully people don't think that I'm like some, like crazy radical person or whatever. Because but also, like ACAB and sue me, you know? But anyways, yeah, and yeah, sorry, I go off on these tangents, but Jenny, when you were like, yeah, is it any safer? I was thinking that too, because it was like, they were like, oh my gosh, everyone can sleep so well at night. And I'm like, you know what? Like, here's the thing. I watch, I'm sure we all do like a million Datelines, and every single episode, it's always someone being like, well, things like that never happen here. I can't believe like that. You just never would have dreamt that it could happen right here. You know, to me and my family, never would have. It's like, well, like literally every single person says that, so it does actually, happen to people. And then if you actually look into who it happens to, instead of just like making it be just like this fear mongering thing to be like, women be afraid, like communities be scared. Like it's like if you actually look at who are the people that are being like that are harming other people, it's like always like family members. I mean, like the number one unsafest place for a woman to be is in her own home, period. And it's like I remember like when I worked with the sex offender treatment program, like we would have to do like different kind of like I don't know, they call them like kind of educational classes, but it's like more psychosexual education, but just really basic concepts, but you think they're basic, but for people that are like, sex offenders, like is not very basic. So but they're like when you ask like how are you going to keep your family safe? Like, what can you do to return to the community, like to be safer? And people are like the guys would always be like, well, I would make sure to tell all of my, sisters and nieces and mom to never leave the house on their own and to like never leave past dark and to always leave with someone else and make sure that they're like not wearing anything revealing or something. And it's like, dude, no, like it's not gonna be some rando that hits up your like nieces and cousin. It's gonna be like it's literally gonna be you or like your brother or like your uncle. Like, I mean, it's gonna be like 85% chance that they know them, So it's like to kind of sit there and be like, oh my God, this community isn't safe anymore. It's like some crazy person is out there. It's like if you just look at crime and like how often like women literally like are, killed, and it's just kind of it's to me, and I know everyone's gonna be like, oh my God, that's annoying, like that she's sexist against men, but to be honest, it's like it is pretty messed up if you look at some of the huge disparities, like between like different crimes and laws that have to do with like men versus women. Like I'll get into that on like a couple of other channels, but like or on other episodes, like whatever videos that I do or live streams. But one thing that I like noticed is like oh, I forgot what I was talking about, and that's okay because I am definitely digressing. So, anyways, only Elvis sisters took polygraphs. Okay, Frenzy was on a team. Thank you for this information, Jenny. Frenzy was on a team with Todd Click and one other guy. They retired. Oh, when Ferenczi was killed. Wow. Oh my God. Yeah, Jenny, girl. Yes. Mexico, Peru, Delphi, Kokomo. There's also, hold on. Let me just look at my chat GPT notes real quick. I said, hold on. Yeah, I was asking them. Okay, here we go. I said, Is there a place called Mexico in Indiana? Yes, it's in Miami County, Florida. The origins of the name Mexico for this Indiana community are not entirely clear, though it's not uncommon, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I said, what other towns are like that in Indiana? And it says, Indiana has several towns with names inspired by other countries, cities, and famous places around the world. Here are some of the more interesting ones. Peru, located in Miami County, known for its rich history. Let me just share this screen. Known for its rich history with circuses, and as the circus capital of the world. To me, like, I want to know more about that. And I think I actually did ask ChatGPT to tell me more about it, but I just was asking so many questions and it just kept giving me so many answers that I just was like skimming it and being like, okay, like, but anyway, so Mexico, a small unincorporated community also in Miami County near Peru. Brazil. Okay, Brazil comes up another time later too. A city in Clay County, Indiana, with a name that stands out due to its South American namesake. It's known for its friendly, small-town atmosphere and hosts the annual Rotary Club's Brazil Rotary 4th of July celebration. So, like, Rotary Club, like, that has some, like, deep kind of roots and some groups. Hello, Miss Leela. Welcome back. Okay, Lima. Yeah. A small community in LaGrange County, Indiana, pronounced as Lima. Weird. Why do they always do that? Like, so a lot of my cousins in Minnesota are from New Prague, but it's like obviously it was New Prague. And they're like, no, New Prague. I'm like, well, that's pretty weird that you just, but I mean, I guess that happens. But anyways, Lima, similar to the way, oh, wait, okay. Lima, a small community in LaGrange County, Indiana, pronounced as Lima, similar to the way people say Lima, Ohio. Oh, okay. It shares its name with the capital city of Peru. I've been to Lima, actually. Lima. Mm. And Machu Picchu. And like Machu Picchu is also supposed to be like one of the places that have like the portal and vortexes. And a lot of those places have a lot of ley lines. And like ley lines are, I guess, I don't really understand it, but it's like very high energetic points. And you can basically make different ley lines. But they said that there's a couple of different places that are like pretty well known, like historically, that are considered to be these same types of spots. Like Stonehenge is one of them. And then also like where King Arthur like took out the rock thing or whatever. I guess that's also like some portal or like a bunch of like 4 overlapping ley lines. And I think also the town in Mexico that had that one, maybe Chichen Itza. I don't know for sure, but anyways, it's pretty weird, right? Like, okay, Rome and oh wait, I was gonna share this with you guys. Hold up. Hey, to share. Mm. ChatGPT, where are you? What? Okay, here we go. Yay. No, wait, damn it. Sorry, you guys, I'm so stupid. Okay, let me think real quick. Oh, wait, I have an idea. You. Yes. Okay. Thank you for your patience. All right. Rome, an unincorporated community in Perry County along the Ohio River. A lot of these places seem to like lay on the same kind of like travel lines, like a lot of railroads. Like Delphi has, I mean, every single time that you hear people reporting from Delphi, like super loud, noisy trains in the background. And like these rivers, like this Monon High, like I can't remember what river that's over, but it's like these they can think that like also water places that have water are considered to be like high energetic type places too. Um, okay, so Rome, it says, oh, okay, an unincorporated community in Perry County along the Ohio River. It's named after Rome, Italy, though it's much quieter, and is known for the historic Old Perry County Courthouse, which I'm like, okay, that's cool, interesting. Okay, Geneva, located in Adams County. This town shares its name with the Swiss city. Geneva, Indiana, is best known for Limberlost State Historic Site, another historic site, associated with author and naturalist Jean Stratton Porter, which I didn't get too much into Porter, but I feel like there's more to be said there probably too. Whatever. Okay. Um, Geneva, Versailles, the county seat of Ripley County, pronounced Versailles again. Like another, like wow, way to like. Anyways, rather than the French pronunciation, it has a historic feel. Crazy, I guess. They're all seem to be like historic Indiana towns, and it is known for the nearby Versailles State Park. Moscow. Apparently, there's a Moscow in Indiana, a small town in Wayne County named after the capital of Ireland. Oh, fuck, my bad. Moscow, a small unincorporated community in Rush County. It is notable for its historic covered bridge, which was rebuilt after being destroyed in a tornado in 2008. So here's something else that I feel like comes up a lot in some of my research around these places is like, well, I guess because I like Google an area and then I'll be like vortex. But I feel like a lot of tornadoes will come up and they'll be like, actually, yes, there was like a very high vortex tornado that went through that community, like right here it's talking about. So I just thought that that was kind of interesting too. Like, if you think about if you purely just think about these areas as energy centers, like it would make sense that there's a lot of energy in the areas where like a lot of these really big, like natural events happen. So, like tornadoes. Okay, so Dublin, look at all these. Okay, a small town in Wayne County named after the capital of Ireland. It has historical significance, particularly along the Old National Road. Crazy, right? Um, Holland, a town in Dubois County, which has a strong German heritage. It was named by Dutch immigrants reflecting their roots. I'm sure that this is like happens in a lot of places. Like I just told you about New Prague, and I know there's like other places like that too. So maybe this isn't that crazy to hear all of these. Actually, let me ask ChatGPT right now. I'm gonna be like, yo, ChatGPT, does like Minnesota have a bunch of towns? Because this seems like a lot, but maybe that's just normal for every like state. It says Frankfurt, the county seat of Clinton County, named after Frankfurt, Germany, by the German descendants who founded it. These places These place names reflect the diverse heritage of Indiana settlers and add to the state's unique character! Exclamation point. And I'm like, okay, the settlers, huh? Like, I feel like, yeah, we're talking about historic roots, like people that are coming over here, like the turn of the century, like starting their own, like most people escape here because of like religious persecution. Like, I think there was like a ton of Quakers that moved to Indiana and like were part of the abolitionist movement, actually. And anti-slavery too. They were like big, like I think one of the main founders of the Underground Railroad is like a Quaker from Indiana or something. Don't quote me on that, but I said also, are some of these towns on a railroad line? And they said yes, many of these Indiana towns are or were historically connected by railroad lines, which played a significant role in their development. Here are details about rail connections for some of these towns. Says blah blah blah. It was a major railroad hub. Peru was a major railroad hub in the 19th and early 20th centuries. Okay. It was a key stop on the Wabash Railroad and connected to several other lines, making it important for both passenger and freight transport. Today, Peru still has active freight lines, and the historical railroad influence is evident in the area. Interesting. Okay. Brazil, located named Terre Haute, that town keeps coming up, and Indianapolis Railroad, later part of the Vandalia Railroad. Is that like, oh, I'm thinking of Vandalia, Valhalla or whatever. But I don't think that's the same. Brazil had a significant railroad activity due to its proximity to coal mining regions. Okay, that's the other thing that comes up a lot with some of these like vortexes areas. Sorry for cracking my knuckles. Is a lot of them seem to be around like caves and like mines and like really really deep caverns and like tunnels. Like I mean actual like cavern tunnels. Like not like I mean maybe some of them are man made. You know like maybe World War II or World War One shit, but I think most of them are, oh shit, hold on. Let me make sure that that didn't disconnect. Share my screen. No, it looks like, okay, we're good. Um, anyway, so moving on, I guess. Brazil had significant railroad activity coal mining. This line contributed to its growth in the 19th century. The area is still served by freight rail companies. Okay, just one little like other thing, like I said, I'm a little witchy, definitely into metaphysical stuff. Currently, I am like in the process of reorganizing my like crystal collection, along with I have like a shit ton of tarot decks and also runes. Like I have my own rune set too. So I feel like I overlap a lot of my like stuff that I learned about or that I like to that I'm just interested in and read about is like overlaps a little bit with some of the Odinist stuff and like the Norse pagan stuff. And I don't consider myself like a white supremacist or anything, but like my like national or like my ethnic, I guess my great grandpa came from Finland, and I feel like I definitely like identify as a Finnish person, I guess. Like he had like he actually worked in the mines up in northern Minnesota in the iron ore mines. And yeah, so he was pretty badass. Anyways, I can't remember what I was gonna say. Oh, crystals though, because a lot of people believe that crystals hold a ton of energy and that you can like charge crystals and use it for like kind of magic. I mean, I don't necessarily think of it that way, but I don't necessarily like rule it out. Like I guess I haven't had like necessarily the intention to be like, I'm gonna make a spell and like do something crazy with my power. But I feel like I do like being like, okay, I'm a little bit nervous about this. I'm gonna like grab this crystal and like bring it with me because I know that it helps my throat chakra or whatever. But anyways, like if you think about how a lot of these like towns seem to overlap on like different, railways or like, interconnected lines, and then they also seem to be around mining towns. And if you think about like mining in terms of like the deep caverns and the caves and like more of the natural like minerals and like coal and like iron, but also like quartz crystals and stuff. Like I know up in my cabin, like where like my great grandpa like moved to work up there, like in like northern Minnesota at the Sedan underground mine. Well, it wasn't underground when he came over here, but anyways, there is a lot of like quartz up in the ground up there too. Actually, it's a super cool like geological region up there. It has some of like I think Ely Greenstone is some of like the oldest like rock. Like I think it is the oldest rock in the world, and it's like mixed in with a bunch of iron and like quartz, like just it's like the bedrock up in my cabin. It's really cool. Okay, so again, I digress. Lima, Indiana does not, or Lima, Indiana does not currently have a major railroad presence, but nearby LaGrange County has some freight service. Historically, the area was less central to the railroad networks compared to other towns in the state. Okay. Wonder what's up with that, but doesn't matter. Versailles, wait, yeah, Versailles, or wait, Versailles was once connected to the Madison and Indianapolis Railroad, one of Indiana's earliest railroads built in the 1830s. Okay, also, I know I'm not, this is like it seems like off topic, but it's actually not because it's like extremely on topic. Is like when I was doing some of that research, like it was like this summer on, like it kept just going deeper and deeper. I mean, I don't know, it's crazy all the different areas that I've gone with the Koberger case. But when I was looking into the park where I found some weird coordinates. Uh, Anyways, I'll share it all. It's crazy. And I do feel like maybe someone's fucking with me, you know what I mean? Because some of it seems so perfect, like, it almost seems like it's, like, a cop plant, like, they're, like, just expecting some sleuther like me to be like, "Oh my god, look at all these connections," and they're like, "Ha, ha, ha," like, "We fooled her," you know? So that might be the case, but, yeah, when I was, like, looking into some of the, like, um, coordinates that I found associated with the case, I'm like, I can't remember even where I got it, but I do have it documented, and then, um, also, I think it was, like, in the Wewa, like, is it the camp or part? It's like the state park or something, and it's, like, in or near San Francisco, I believe, but it's, like, up kind of near Mount Shasta, which actually is another area that's considered to be another, like, vortex area and, like, where, these portals are, and this is all, like, woo-woo-y shit, but, like, definitely there's followers that these are, like, well-known sites, and obviously there's shit that goes on in the sites, like, Stonehenge, hello, she just needs to, like, it is interesting, um, but I found this portal or vortex in that, like, same park in, San Francisco that, like, I think was, like, associated with the park that Kohlberger was going to at night to, like, look up at the sky, which in my opinion, and I'll explain this later, I think he was, like, looking for UFOs maybe? I don't know, but yeah, that's a whole other story, but another thing that I found on that same land is there was, like, this railroad company, and it was, like, very one of the very first railroad companies, and it's called, like, the Anti-Gravity Railroad, and it was, like, some tourist trap, and it's, like, part of the state park, and it was, like, super steep, but the railroad, like, cut across, like, like, stepped it up or whatever, and, like, now they still do tours, but, like, it was, like, a big thing back in, like, 1830s or something, but also in that same area, there's an area called it's another vortex area, but it's, like, actually a tourist trap, like, oh my god, now I didn't prep for this, so, okay, I'm gonna write this down so I can, like, revisit it tomorrow because I have all these screenshots of all this information from the research I was doing earlier. Because this does seem, like, really associated with this stuff now that I'm thinking about it, but also, if it seems like if you guys are like, "Dude, bitch, get your shit together, like, you're kinda crazy, like, that's not even worth your time, don't talk about that, like, what are you even talking about?" Just let me know in the comments, I won't read them, no, I'm just kidding, I'm actually, like, trying to read comments more, but I don't really know what to do, but, and I can't find a pen right now, so I'm just gonna have to, like, put that in my brain on is it to do, let me just double check the chat again because 'cause I'm sorry, I feel like I'm just, like, talking to myself a bunch, okay, yeah, okay, oh my god, yep, exactly, oh, cool, I forgot I could put them up here. I'm just gonna go down. Okay, by the way, Jenny and Be on Fire, I really appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Holy shit, I've been on here for almost 2 hours. That's ridiculous. I should probably get going. But YOLO, I guess at this point, why not? So Toby Lansby was one of the what? Dude, Jenny, that is crazy information. I haven't even heard of that guy. Wow. What the hell? Like it's just like dudes, like hello, like, how can people deny that this is not just extremely obvious corruption? Like, seriously, like, how can you explain that this isn't corruption? Like, I mean, I feel like I've been trying to kinda go down these things and, like, check myself and be like, "Well, maybe that is normal for, like, a small town," or, maybe that would be the same for Minnesota, and I'm just, having a biased perspective of it, but, like, shit like this, it's like all these law enforcement are getting M-worded, and then like, someone was an actual suspect and investigating himself, like, that that should not be legal, you know what I mean? Like, duh. It's just a joke, like, it's so funny. They're like, "Oh my god, like, bloody blah deserves justice," and I'm like, What the hell is justice anyways?" You know what I mean? Like, honestly, I feel like justice is just, like I don't know, I think it's made up, and I do like what you like, were kinda mentioning before in the comments is like, "Oh, everyone can feel safer." No, just again, like, your community is never safe. Like, I mean, just go ahead and mark yourself as unsafe from here on out until, like, we can get a hold on some of the, like, like male on female like DB. I mean, it's like I know that everyone likes to have like this little championship for like, male being men being also like, involved as the like victim in DV relationships, but also I just feel like if you actually look at the numbers, and I do, I mean, I've worked with male victims involved with DVs, like, fought for them to get rights for their children, like when their, baby mom was like running after them with like a knife and stuff. I mean, so I definitely can see it from that perspective, but it's such a small portion of like actual DV victims that are men. You know what I mean? And everyone's like, it's so underreported, but it's like, okay, but like, are they? I mean, I understand that like sucks to live in like an oppressive environment, but like when we're talking about like literally ritualistic sacrifices and people like their house going up in flames and like obviously these like hit things and you know little girls getting just like I mean massacred basically like it's like that usually does not happen to men and like I just by far like women victims, like, are hurt a million times worse, you know what I mean? It's like and I feel like, yes, again, like, for men and I am gonna get on my little soapbox here, like, again, I have sympathy, like I said, I've worked with male victims, but it's like, can we please just actually give the right proportionate amount of attention and, like, services and energy into the people that are actually, like, coming out, like, unalive, like, it's just men period inherently have there's a power imbalance and that like they are like raised in you know such a hardcore culture that expects them to like come up like marry the hottest chick and have the best job and have the best paying thing and the best house like no one can compete with that shit of course these men are like growing up to like be like dissatisfied with what life has to give them and they feel like they're not being treated fairly and that it's like I can see it from their perspective but also it's like we need to not we need to like get away from some of these like values that we're like raising people with and being like it's okay like to not have everything you know what I mean like I mean it's you only live once like it sucks to be I mean I wish I would have learned that sooner but like working your ass off and just like basically like working your life away I mean just for the man, you know what I mean? Capitalism is just like it's such a joke. It's like honestly, it's all propaganda, and they're just like, yeah, like these are the things that you need to do to be a man. But they're like, really, let's just make them give us money and like go fight our wars for us and like die for us. And then we're like, okay, yes, go America, or go capitalist, like so. But I feel like that kinda goes hand in hand with the ACAB too. Because a lot of times too with the ACAB, this is okay, sorry, I'm gonna definitely have to get going because I feel like I definitely am being tangential now, but, when it comes to ACAB and, like, when you think, like, when I think back to George Floyd and, like, what happened between, what Derek Chauvin did to George Floyd, like, literally M-worded him, like, kneeled on his neck for 9 minutes, and then, they damn it, I forgot what I was talking about, but, what was I gonna say? I'm dumb. Okay, sorry. All right. So, you guys, I'm really sorry that I'm like pretty all over the place right now, but okay, Nick, Mick, and Brad Holder, no Brad Holder name, and another original suspect, yep, are both Freemasons. Shut the front door. Oh my God. Dude, I came up on some Freemason stuff like in my research. Okay, I have not even gotten past the first name. This is crazy. It's gonna take me forever. So, the prosecutor cleared Brad. Wait, the prosecutor cleared Brad. Blah blah. Cleared Brad, but that's wait. Show a conflict of interest. Duh. Yeah, Nick. Who's Nick Mick though? Um, and Brad Holder. So it. Wait, is Brad Holder the old guy that like is not alive anymore, or is he the guy? No, because Weber is the one that yelled. What's up with Weber? I want to know more about this Weber guy too. I feel like he's involved as well. Um, 100%. It was some crazy ritualistic shit that went down, like, down there, and it was 100% a cover up, like, you I mean, I don't wanna, like, just jump on a bandwagon and be like, totally conspiracy theorist, but it's just, like, it's so obvious. Don't you think? I mean, it's just like, can someone please explain this away to me and be like, "Mm, it's just coincidence," like, really, you think all of this is just coincidence? Like and that's what's bullshit too about, like, poor Richard Allen is, like, and also I don't know if Richard Allen is, like, 100%, guilt free. Like, maybe he was involved, like, maybe he was, like, the lookout guy, like, maybe he was, like, kind of like, I don't know, their little, like, lookout man or something, and ended up just being their fall guy, but, um, for sure, if he was involved, like, he was not alone when he did this, like, it's, like, impossible. I can't believe that the jury I mean, I guess, like, if you find him guilty because you think, well, yeah, maybe he was with other people, but, like, it doesn't matter, he was still there, so he is guilty. But to me, Judge Gull, like, she's literally, like I mean, she has to be they have to kick her off. I mean, remember that lady down in Florida, the judge? She was so awful. She was annoying AF, but, she was on the, case with the Parkland, um, Mass S guy, and what was his name? I think his name was Nick too, but, he oh, she was, like, so oh my god, she was awful, I could not believe it. I was, like, just when I watched her, I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, how do people get away with this shit?" And then, like, I feel like Gull was even worse, and I can't believe that she has people call her Seagull, like, come on. That's ridiculous, kind of, but, I mean, whatever, it's her name, but also you have a choice to, like, not choose to put your initial in front of your last name, like I mean, I guess if that's, like, your thing, but, oh my god, you know what I'm thinking about right now? I wish I had a pen. Hold on, I'm just gonna find a pen real quick because I do wanna take notes because I wonder if, like, Siegel like, I wonder if I've thought about this too, is, like, maybe Siegel is, like, involved with all of this. Like, maybe she's part of these groups. I mean, she's obviously somewhere in a place of power in this little town. Like, she got it somehow, you know what I mean? And she's probably, like, covering up for these people, and I don't wanna accuse her of anything, this is all just, like, hypothet but I don't know, but it just does seem very strange, like, why wouldn't she let, like, that theory come in for the Odinist stuff? Like, I just don't understand why you just wouldn't let that in as a judge. Like, I think if anything is gonna, like, happen to this case that's gonna get overturned and, like, they're not gonna end up winning, it's gonna be because of, like, her shitty, like, decisions, like, and overtly shitty decisions, and if she gets away with that shit, like, I mean, that's just so discouraging that we, like, literally are letting people get away with this shit, like, just blatantly, like, illegal wrong things, like, she should at least just not be a judge anymore, and, like, that's what they did in Florida with that lady who was just, like, an idiot, and I think she ended up getting just what do they call it, disbarred? I don't know, but she got taken up. I mean, yeah, I think she got, like, fired as a judge. Um, so they should do that to Gull. And I mean, honestly, if I mean, honestly, I don't really trust the criminal justice system at all. Like, I mean, Missouri literally just killed a innocent man who also check out my videos, Marcellus Khalifa Williams. Like I think were suppressed because I like swore a ton in them, and I kept talking about like kept saying all the words that I shouldn't have said, like, on YouTube, which is so lame because I was, like, trying to be defiant. I was like, "This is so dumb. You can't, take away my free speech. It's YouTube." But then I was like, "Oh, I literally have 2 views on this video." Like, so I just feel like I do have to kind of abide by a little bit of their restrictions to, like, actually make sure that people are, like, seeing these videos that are important, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm not doing this because you know, I don't know, I feel like this is definitely shit that should be addressed and talked about, and, like, people should acknowledge it, and it shouldn't just be, like, pushed under the rug, you know what I mean? Like, um, shit, I forgot what I was talking about. Um, what was I gonna write down? I went to go grab a pen or something. Maybe it'll come back to me. So, took a non-offending parent essay classes. Um, oh, oh, so you mean wait, so what would that class be about, like Would it be, oh my god, your grandma was born in Isanti, Minnesota? Represent, that's cool. Yeah, I feel like Minnesota's a pretty good state. Like, I know people, like, kind of look at it as, like, like country bumpkin, and people are like, "What the hell is up in Minnesota?" But Minneapolis is super legit. Everyone that I have met from Minnesota, like, and anyone that's actually lived here, like, loves it. Like, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I mean, minus the George Floyd stuff. And it does get pretty cold, but I feel like that's kind of fun. Like, anyways, I'm not trying to like convince, but actually, with global warming happening, Minnesota is gonna like the place to be. So I feel like thank you, great grandpa, for choosing Minnesota back in the day, even though 20 years ago, I was like, "Why the hell would you choose Minnesota? You could go anywhere in the States and you come to the coldest place." But I guess he had, like, some envisionary, ideas, so that's pretty cool, thank you. But anyway, so the non-offending parent essay classes, like, what would that be addressing? Like, would it does that mean that you know for sure one of your children has been essayed, or just in case one of your children does get essayed that you know you're a non-offender, but then you know how to handle it when it happens or something. But and then it says lots of Hispanic names town. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they feel like there are a lot of portals to, which actually makes sense. Like if you think, okay, again, like I know this is a little bit of crazy thing, but if these kind of theories of these energy vortex portals, I mean, I sound so crazy saying this, but also it's like if there's actual like physical proof, like where there's caverns, deep, deep caves, like natural tunnels between different like mineral deposits and stuff, like especially like, in Florida where like a lot of the like wear and tear is gone, like I'm sure that there are like a lot of I mean, there's so many caves that are just probably completely unknown that are just huge. Like, I mean, caves are so interesting to me. Oh my God. Sometime we should just like watch together, like on this channel. Like one of my, it's like this documentary about this quartz cave in Mexico, and it's crazy. It's insane. And they were like, oh, we didn't even realize that this was a place, a cavern until like 10 years ago. And it's like the biggest freaking quartz crystals you will have ever seen. Like, I'm not even kidding. I swear to God, they're like 60 feet tall. Like, and just, I mean, it's like, dude, that was there that whole time and no one even knew about it. Like, we could have gone our entire human existence and never even known that that crazy shit existed or exists. And so I am assuming there's a ton of other like stuff like that underground and in different like water. There's a ton of underground like cave like ways and passageways, like just with, I mean, it's crazy down there, I bet. So anyways, it is interesting to think about that a lot of these like places are connecting to South America because it would make sense that there might be shared like, mineral deposits, like tunneling, maybe underground, like again, like natural tunneling, like with similar mineral stuff, like from, maybe like, you know, Northern California, Mount Shasta down to somewhere in Mexico or like Florida to somewhere in Peru. I mean, I feel like I don't know, maybe that's kind of a little bit of a stretch, but I don't think so. I feel like it kind of makes sense. I mean, yeah, why not? Okay, so anyways, my granny was born in Isanti. That's where the Mississippi River starts too, I think. Kind of familiar with ley lines. Yeah. So I just heard about them today because I watched this video when I was doing some of my research on it was like, what's the difference between a vortex and a portal? I was like, yeah, what are either? And then they brought up ley lines. So I was just kind of, I mean, I took it at face value, I guess. I haven't like looked more into it, but it sounds like there's actual like, I mean, I don't know, I have to look more into it. But if you know any more about ley lines, let me know. I think Wabash is a Native American. We have one here in Oregon, same in Minnesota. Like we have the Wabasha Bridge, which is like actually a bridge where like a lot of people will like jump off of in St. Paul. Well, and we have like a lot of Wabash caves too. Yeah, I think you're right. I wonder what kind of Native American it is. Um, I'm gonna write that down too. Wabash. American Who. Okay, can't remember the other shit that I was gonna look up too, but and then you're in Oregon. That's cool. I feel like Oregon is also involved with some of this stuff. Like, I mean, Mount Shasta is like right across the border, I think, from Oregon, right? Um, and I do feel like I see Portland kind of come up in some of these similar like drug and like sex trafficking rings that I have been kind of seeing come up as trends in some of my research too. It's crazy. Like, I definitely do feel like there is like an underground network of um like sex trafficking and drug trafficking gangs, and I think that they have to do I think they use law enforcement in these communities and like these actual places that we're talking about with these like city names that are like I don't know. I mean, literally I just kind of like started thinking about this stuff yesterday, so um that's why I was like didn't go on until 11:11 because I was like, whoa, what's going on? Okay, it says I don't believe in Norse paganism, etc., but I do really enjoy learning about it in different religions. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if like Norse paganism is like necessarily a belief. Like, I mean, I guess maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, people that are like white supremacists and like do all that stuff and like I feel like maybe use it for like a negative thing that's not good. And I wouldn't like necessarily associate myself with that in terms of like religious stuff. But I just think it's interesting to hear like every culture and society's like original like myths and tales and like so many of them like overlap, and I feel like there's like a lot of similarities like between like the Pleiades, like the seven sisters. Like I think that's like the oldest kind of like myth around, and it's like there's seven different cultures from like ancient society that like all share some similar type story that it has to do with these like kind of like seven sisters or like seven entities or something. And I don't know, I'll have to like I actually asked ChatGPT about that I think like a year ago when I was doing some of my research on the Koberger case, but um ChatGPT hooks it up. It's like crazy. They like will tell me shit that I'm like, what? Okay, I didn't even think about that. But it's pretty helpful for stuff like that, like stuff like this. Like anyways, but yeah, I think it's interesting to definitely just be able to hear. I think it's important for everyone to just like learn about what stories are being told and like where certain beliefs and like just thoughts originated and like how and why. I don't know. But also I'm kind of OCD and I like go down way too many rabbit holes with stuff. But okay, Jenny says there's a vortex in southern Oregon and another in South Dakota, I believe. Yes, dude. Like, okay, so all right, so that's the other thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a prep for Vortex Live. um, it's funny because I'm like, I'm gonna approach this like a clinical psychologist and present my, I mean, not my professional opinion because I don't want to get sued. This is all like, you know, me hypothesizing and saying things just like, in generalizations, but also I'm like, let's talk about vortexes and portals and like, um ley lines or whatever like that can connect us to alien. I don't know. But anyways, don't put me in a bubble. Oh shit, my thing just went out. Hold on. All right. Okay, so vortex prep. Yeah, because there's also one all over the place. There's one in Florida. There's one in Indiana. There's one in uh wait, yeah, there was one in Italy, there was one in Australia, there was one in Washington. But yeah, I think I wrote down even more too, but I was like, "This is crazy," and they're like it's weird because they make them into, like, these kind of like okay, that's the other weird thing that I like, was coming up. Okay, no, because that's crazy. Okay, wait, no, hold on, let me think now, because I was doing the Cobra research, and I was going down these, like, crazy rabbit holes with this vortex, and it was like they were these, like, spots that they couldn't really explain in terms of, like, gravity. Like, literally, like and people are like, "Oh, it's just, a scam. It's they're playing tricks with your eyes, and it's just, optical illusions." But it's like, no, like, these places, like, legit have some weird freaking gravity shit going on, and I saved a bunch of videos that I was, like, wanting to show because I was like, "That's trippy as hell." Like, how are people denying? Like, it's not like they just made a house, like, different sizes and at an angle, like, no, like, literally people are defying gravity in these places, like, something is weird, and I think when I started going down the rabbit hole about, like, where, like, these came from and, like, what it actually was, because it seemed to be wait, let me make sure that I'm okay, good. Um, it was like they were like, yeah, a lot of the times these spots that they find, they just randomly find them too. It's like it'll be because some guy broke down in the middle of like a road and then he realized that his car was like, moving backwards or something weird. And they were like, no, this is weird. That's not supposed to be this way. Like it should be doing that. And so then they kind of ended up privatizing these areas and made them be like wayside stops kind of to be like, oh wow, come check it out. And like people are just assuming that it's like optical illusions, but it actually is something trippy with like energy. And a lot of times they theorize that it has to do with some type of like minerals underneath that particular part of the ground, like probably maybe a cave or like types of crystal type shit. So I was like, well, that's interesting because then it's like now when you think about that for all of these other, it's just the overlap is weird because then when I was looking into that, I found another vortex down in Florida, and then in Florida they brought up Indiana, and I was like, okay, and that was separate from my research on Delphi, and I was like, wait a second, isn't that where like Richard Allen's from? And then they were saying that it's like, the circus capital, like hub of the country or the world or something. And if you think about these like wayside attractions of these like weird kind of like optical illusion, like privatizing kind of trippy stuff or what, I don't know, maybe I'm stretching that a little bit too far with the association with like circus stuff. And these vortexes, but it does seem to be, like when you would go to like the state fair when you were little and they would be like, see the fat lady with the beard or, half man, half horse. And they'd be like behind glass. Like my parents, like, I remember being pissed at them because they would like never like want me to go. And then they're like, Sarah, no, they're a ripoff. But I'm like, dude, no, these are real people. Like, I want to see that shit. But now that I think back, I'm like, oh, that is kind of like sad. Like, you know, exploiting unique people and like just natural uniqueness, kind of like these areas. So anyways, I digress. But yeah, South Dakota, Oregon, for sure. A polygraph operator the polygraph operator that did Elvis's sister's polygraphs was killed too. Okay, no, yeah, that I think. Okay, wait, hold on, let me write this down. Is that the same one as the is that Stephanie Thompson or Frenzy? Is this a separate person from Frenzy or Stephanie? Because I feel like Stephanie Thompson was like a polygraph person, but don't quote me on that. But if you guys know, let me know. But let me write that down real quick. Hold up. So no, I don't need to write that down. Wait, no, what was I gonna write down? I suck. Okay. Anyways, Nick McLeland. Okay, I'm gonna write that down. So is he he was like a deputy or something on the Delphi? Sorry, I'm confused. McLeland. Sure, I've seen like a lot of these names, but I just need to like keep things more organized in my brain. But it's hard. Okay, sorry, you guys like were getting back to me like 20 minutes ago, my bad. No, that's Ron Logan who died. Brad Weber's sister is wait, hold the show. Okay, Ron Logan who died. Oh, thank you. Yeah, the guy, okay, noted. And Brad Weber, who is the guy who was like yelling on the stand, I'm pretty sure. His sister is married to Brad Holder. What? What? Wow. That's shady. I mean, again, it's like, well, I guess this is just a small town, but it's like, no, that's like also a lot of association where like a lot of like, seemingly shady stuff is going on too. It's kind of like, um, what if it looks like a duck and it talks like a duck or something, it's probably, I don't know. It's like, why are people so like apt to just always not question these people with power that are like known to have done shitty things like throughout space and time. You know what I mean? It's like why are we giving them the benefit of the doubt. Like, I just can't believe that. I mean, I'm not like, I mean, I'm upset for Richard Allen, but I'm just surprised that he got found guilty. Like, I'm just like, that doesn't seem just to me. Like, there wasn't, like, what evidence was there to convict him? I feel like they might have been like threatened or something. Like, I think these are pretty big, like, crime groups that obviously are pretty hardcore. Like, I mean, it sounds like they're literally like offing FBI agents and burning down family homes with children. Like, that's pretty hardcore. Like, so so I wouldn't doubt that they would also maybe be involved in like in what's the word intimidation. Wow. But you guys know what I mean. Intimidating, yes. The jurors maybe. But I feel like if there's 12 jurors, like someone's gonna like be the whistleblower maybe, but I don't know, maybe not. Like there's been way a lot of times where way more people are involved in some shady stuff and didn't say anything. Because like I mean if it's like your life and your family's life dependent on it, it's kind of like really do I really want to be, the savior right now? Like I kind of just want to like be able to make sure that my wife and my daughter are alive. So I get it, but also um it's just crazy that people don't think more like same with the Karen Reed case. Like I'm like, how did that jury come back hung? Like it was so obvious that there was just so much shitty information in it. And the cops did such a bad job with that investigation that that's how I feel with the Richard Allen thing too. Is like at some point it's kind of like if you fucked up this case so much, at some point like you just can't go back from it. Sorry, you screwed up too much. This is probably the dude, but now we'll never know, and now we'll never be able to like actually charge him and put him in jail because you guys like felt like you had to like lie and make up a bunch of shit and ruin it and just not play fair. Like if you actually have evidence that's like showing that this guy's did it, then just use that evidence. Like you are screwing over everyone else, like by fabricating stuff, unless it's literally just fabricating because you're trying to set someone else up. You know what I mean? It's just weird. So, anyways, I'm gonna say, okay, so Brad Weber, his sister married to, okay, wait, okay, Brad Holder. Oh, wait. Oh my God, I know what you mean. Are these the people that posted those pictures on their Facebook that had the same like rune or like bind runes or whatever as the ones on the girls? I think if RA was involved, he would have tried to take a plea deal and snitch on. That's a good point, Jenny. Um, I don't know because I feel like if they're literally torturing him in prison and he like knows a little bit of information, but they're threatening his like wife. I mean, he obviously loves his wife a lot. I feel like in all of the like recordings that we hear about or about the phone calls that they have or like in his interrogation with the asshole investigators, he's always thinking about his wife. Like he's like, do whatever you want to me, but do not bring my goddamn wife into this. And like, I mean, it does seem like they have a really tight relationship. And I mean, I don't know, I don't know them, but I mean, it's kind of a cute little couple if you think about it. I mean, they're just like this, like it's just like a simple couple. Like it's dude's got a drinking problem. Like what, couple long term hasn't had a like partner that I feel like every single man in my life that's been married for like over 50 years at one point has had like a drinking problem. But like addressed it and like sobered up and like it sounds like he was like struggling with that a little bit, but I mean they sound like a sweet family and I feel so bad that their daughter's pregnant right now. Like, oh my God, how shitty is that? Um, but yeah. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he would have done that. I mean, maybe he would have, but I feel like, yeah, if they are threatening him and his family, it's kind of like maybe he just feels like he should just put up and shut up, I guess. And who knows? But anyways, yeah, I don't know. Gullah is most definitely involved. Oh, thank you. Thank you for validating. And the first judge, Diner. Okay, that sounds like a familiar name, actually. He's the one that put RA in prison. What? Okay, I need to do more research. I mean, maybe I don't need to do more research because this shit takes me done some like really deep, like, yeah, investigation type stuff. But anyways, it is kind of interesting, but also, yeah, whatever, it's interesting. And I'm talking about it here, so it's not like a waste of time. So, okay. Diner, judge. So, yeah, I bet they're all fucking good old boys. They probably are all Freemasons and part of secret societies that do ritualistic killings. And they have done it since, like, literally they like settled here in like 1830. Like, I mean, honestly, that's probably what's happening. And that's why all of these towns have like crazy names like Delphi. And like, like I went to Delphi last year just randomly. I was like dating a guy who moved to Lexington, Kentucky. And so I like went and stayed with him for a little while. And on my way back up to Minnesota, I was driving and I saw like on the map Terre Haute or whatever, and I knew that that was in Indiana from like looking at different internships to apply to for the prison there. And then I was like, holy shit, that's so close to Delphi. And then I was like, wait a second, how far out of the way would it be for me to just stop through Delphi? And it was like only an extra couple of hours, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm doing that. So I did, and I like took some videos and stuff, and I did like a little bit of like I did not do a great job. Like, I tried to do some investigation work, but I um wasn't super successful. But I do think that but anyways, in one of the videos, like I'm like, and it's weird because I just did this research yesterday, but the videos and the like vacation that I took there, like I literally almost exactly a year ago, I am now for the first time looking through some of the like pictures and like the different videos that I recorded while I was there. And I'm like talking about a lot of the same shit that I was like literally just Googling yesterday, like or like asking ChatGPT. Like I was like, it really seems to be like there's like a lot of really, really nice old buildings. Like it's a really nice town. Like I kind of thought Delphi, Indiana, when you hear about it, was just gonna be like a little shithole. It's like once you get there, it's like super cute. They have a really nice courthouse, like huge courthouse. And it's just like, I mean, it's really I mean, all the I mean, even the trail system that they were on is, like, super beautiful, and, I mean, I ended up having to drive, but, like, it was kinda weird. I'll play you guys the video. That's the other video that I need to make is my Delphi trip, compilation, but it was, I ended up taking this back road that goes, kind of next to the river, and I wanna look actually where I was to see, like, specifically where the girls' bodies were found because I wonder whose houses I drove by because there were some nice ass fucking houses down there, dude. Like, I was like, "Holy shit, there's some rich ass people that live around here." Like, and it's weird because I even said in the video that I just listened to today, I was like or yesterday, I was like, these are nice enough houses. I bet like judges and shit live down here. So I wonder if it is like this small secret society that of like rich ass people, settlers that like are magicians that like, manifest like I don't know, capitalism or some shit and like become judges and like all live down by the river and do weird sacrifices of children every now and then to like be able to make sure that they can like keep re-upping their magic or something. I don't know. I know that sounds super crazy, but I don't know. Never say never, I guess. But I mean, also I feel like most of the time it's like maybe somewhere in between like theories, like that's maybe a little bit extreme, but on the other side, like they definitely don't get off like completely. It's like scot free on this. There's obviously some like shady stuff going on. It's not just incompetence. Like it's definitely a little bit of corruption. And I don't know necessarily why, maybe just for money, but okay, vacation, Delphi vacay, live here. Yeah, diner. Okay, first judge. Cool. And parents who have kids that were essayed but aren't the offender. Okay, thanks for clarifying it. I'm sorry, Jenny, that your child is someone that has experienced that, but that's awesome that you were like proactive about being able to like learn and become informed on how to like deal with that like because it is like super significant especially if it's in childhood. Like I mean that can really do a number on someone for the rest of their lives. Like a lot of yeah, just like maladaptive psych symptoms end up forming from similar situations. So that's going to be interesting to hear some of the stuff that they taught you, or that they talked about with you. Um, but yeah, I'm sure that you brought that up before when I was kind of going off on that other little tangent about how like you're going to be more likely to be um, hurt by someone that you live with, you know. So I'm sorry that you potentially had to also live with an offender as well. Um, okay, it said, but you don't sound crazy because they're a thing. Thank you. The one in South Dakota, you can feel the energy even before you get there. That's super interesting. See, I've never been to one of these places. I really want to go now, though. Shit, maybe I should go back to Delphi. Well, I want to. Is there? I don't know if they are saying that there's one in Delphi. Actually, no, there is one in Delphi. Okay, no. Oh my God, you guys. Okay, so when I was Googling like Delphi Vortex, I don't know why I was Googling that, but I think I maybe talked about that earlier in the video of why like I initially had that association. But there was like a video that popped up and it was like a state park. My God, no, it's I think it's like I think it's Mexico and it's in Indiana and there's like a campground and it's actually like a diving spot because it's like the deepest lake in Indiana and like or maybe Ohio. No, Indiana. And like a lot of the times, like really deep lakes like that, where that are good for diving and like are really like cold are because they're like connected to some underground spring, like maybe a cave system. Um, so that's interesting to think about too, because it's like in Mexico, Indiana, you know. So it would be interesting to go check that out in Indiana. And I think it'd be really cool to go to the ones like specifically the one that was like in San Francisco sounded super cool. Like next time when I do that video on the Vortex Prep Live, I'll play you guys those videos because they there's a couple of really cool explanation videos in the Vortex um in near the Wallway Park or whatever that was like I was like, whoa, this is trippy as fuck, you know. But yeah, you're right. Like I feel like it definitely is a thing. And it's like interesting that all these places seem to be on top of like cave systems, like and possibly tunnels or like some type of like inner system of like a railroad or the underground railroad system specifically too for the um slave trade like or the well I guess it was just called the underground railroad. Was there like a time period that that took place in? Anyways, so the video share. Okay. Um but okay, yeah. Where's the one in South Dakota? Oh, I bet there's one like by all that crazy um stuff in the like was it the Badlands? There's some pretty weird and like the Black Hills, there's definitely some weird ass geology down there too. It's like really pretty and interesting, but I feel like that is actually like because of old ass like degrad degrad why am I not able to say words today? But like wearing down of minerals, like also like Dinosaur National Monument in Colorado. Like I went there a couple years ago. It was super awesome, but like basically it had been like when the dinosaurs were around, it was like an ocean or like an like lake, and it was like really big. So when all of the dinosaurs like died, all their bodies like went to the bottom of the lake, and then it ended up becoming, you know, turned into basically like I don't know, fossils, like, it solidified and but they were all preserved pretty well, like because it was, like I mean, I think it's almost I don't wanna call it, like, peat, but, you know, it's, like, minerals that are kind of anyway, I don't know exactly how it works, but anyways, that all happened, and then it, like, became underground, and then over millions of years now, like, it has worn away at, like, the surface because of, like, I don't know, glaciers and whatever else, just, like, air and, like, different weather systems, and they, fuck, I forgot what I was saying again. Alright, like, I yeah, it's getting maybe kind of late, it's 1:30. I feel like, um, maybe I'm becoming, like my brain's not working well enough for me to, like, keep talking, but I also am, like there's a lot to think about, and I am really nervous going on these things, so I'm wanting to continue doing this, and I think it'd be good for me to stick to, like, you know, maybe just, like, an hour-long live just to make sure that I actually just come on and do something because I feel like I always get overwhelmed because I'm like, oh my God, there's so much to talk about. And then I'm like, I don't even know where to start and it's gonna be forever. And so anyways, I think I just need to, one step at a time and like try to remember like stay focused. But also I think it's important to follow some of these, little like segues off to like explore some of these things because it is interesting. Like, oh, I should reach out to Angela at Art and Production. She sued Indiana over not releasing public info. She's a therapist, but it is so close to this case. Lots of insight. Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever watched R&M Productions. I'm assuming that's a YouTube channel. I feel like I've seen definitely the name before, but I don't know if I've been on the channel. But yeah, maybe I'll go check out some of their videos or her videos. Sued Indiana, huh? What public information? It's such bullshit that Gold didn't allow them to have like even phones in the courtroom. I mean, that itself too is just like it makes me wonder like what's going on with the Indiana Supreme Court too, because it's like, dude, like how did you guys not? I mean, I know that they've reinstated the defense attorneys, but still, it's kind of like, what? Like, why didn't you put like Judge Gull in her place? Like, what the fuck? She was obviously psycho, you know. Um. Okay, but I'm gonna write down. Okay, Angela. Pens are always shitty. Okay, and then nice. Inside regarding obviously Delphi case, yeah. Cool. Alrighty. Oh, a therapist. Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah. Her and I would probably have a lot to talk about. Um, I wonder what kind of therapy she does. Okay, so I'm gonna just the original religion isn't violent or racist. Totally. 100%. Norse paganism, yeah, for sure. And they actually, well, yeah, so I actually did kind of look into that because I was like, what's up, like, with paganism and like all the sacrificial stuff too? Like, I'm like, did they do that? And I did find a video that like discussed the most people are like, they never did sacrifices, blah blah blah. Like, usually maybe they use some like animal blood or something. But like, I did find this one video where they have found like, a couple of instances where people like did do like, human sacrifices, but I think that was pretty common like in general. Like I feel like I just read about that happening where they just found 76 um remains of children like in that Mexico like Chichen Itza place. Or no, maybe it was in Peru. I don't know, it was like an agricultural like community that was like a pretty big empire at the time. And it seemed like when they did some of the DNA testing, it like looked like they maybe had sacrificed like the children from the other community that they had like enslaved basically. Which I'm like, oh, good job. You we're able to sacrifice other people's children. Good job. You know what I mean? But I'm sure they looked at it as like, ownership, and if it's a kid, like you're gonna have them for a long time, so maybe. But I guess like the crops weren't doing that well that year. So, um, but yeah. So, anyways, I mean, I do feel like definitely people seem to have always tried to use different energies in like different ways, and it seems that throughout time. I mean, I grew up Catholic, and the rituals that are like inherent in that religion is crazy. Like, and I think there's a lot to be said about like rituals too. Like I'm definitely not Catholic anymore. Like I consider myself like maybe like more ethnically Catholic because I definitely think it's like a way to grow up, I mean, it's a thing. And I like went to Catholic schools and stuff too. And my mom was Irish Catholic and my dad converted, so it was like a big deal. But the one thing that I do really like about the Catholicism, besides everything else that I hate about it, is kind of the like mysticism aspect of it and like all of the incense burning and like kind of the different I don't know, just like celebrations that they do. And a lot of that was based off of like some of the more pagan religions too, like, overlapping on solstices and stuff. So I mean I do feel like there's this shit's been around forever and I don't know why we think that, like, okay, one of my favorite researchers, he's like a neuropsychologist, and he's like seriously like my absolute favorite person. His name is Robert Sapolsky. His like one of my favorite books is he just published it. I think it was probably like 5 years ago now, but I think it's just called Criminal, maybe. Crime is it crime criminal? Shit. I think it's crime. It's either crime or criminal, but Robert Sapolsky, he also wrote Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. Like he just researches a lot about like the neurological bases behind basically like human development and it's super interesting. And he is just such a cool dude, but I think he's like I mean everything he says, I'm like, you're amazing and you're a genius and I can't even believe you just were able to like come up with that. Like, and I definitely like do listen to a lot of what he says, but he absolutely does not. He like thinks that astrology or anything with like planet stuff like is just bullshit. And I'm like, really, dude? Like, but it's been around forever. Like, I mean, we like the tide, like the moon obviously affects enough energy in our like atmosphere and system to like affect our oceans on a daily basis. Like, you can't say that that doesn't have a little bit of impact on shit. You know what I mean? Especially with the way that anyways, I'm not gonna get into that because I love Robert Sapolsky, but I would like to have a conversation with him about that. But yeah, I agree, it's definitely not racist. But yeah, and I don't think it's inherently violent either. But the Norwegians do no, the Swedish, the Vikings get a bad rap. But I'm from Minnesota, so go Vikings, I guess. These are your personal, yeah, exactly. My personal opinion is not professional. Well, and actually, it's kind of nice now because I feel like I have my professional experience, but like I'm not interested in like practicing as a licensed clinical psychologist anymore. Like honestly, like yeah, I just feel like I can utilize like all of my knowledge that I gained and like experience that I gained from my time doing that. And at this point, like I think it's just easier and like will be better for me to just kind of maybe burn bridges there and feel free to speak out on my actual opinions on stuff without having to worry that I'm gonna end up getting like in a situation like Dr. Walla where she was fired for having an interest in true crime and maybe talking about her opinion, which honestly I like. I mean, I'll get into that like maybe in a future video about like kind of my thoughts about that, but I mean, inherently, I don't think it's like a horrible thing that she was like looking up his criminal history and like potentially some of the involvements like in this case. Like, I don't think that that's that bad. But I do think it is, maybe a little bit of like an ethical gray area in terms of like knowing information about the crime that she could maybe pass to him or like coming in with assumptions that she made outside of just her interactions with him, which isn't like a great, basis to start with in terms of like working with someone therapeutically. But psychologists in prison, as I'll get into later, like do not really worry about therapeutic relationships with offenders. I came to find out it's like a pretty crazy environment in prison for psychologists. And honestly, like I feel like if you've made it there in that like environment for any significant portion of time as a clinical psychologist, like practicing the way that like I was practicing and trained to practice is like, I don't know, I just feel like yeah, you're probably like not a great psychologist, you know what I mean? Because it's just a really crappy way to practice what we've been trained to provide in terms of services. Like it's literally like contradictory, like what we're supposed to be providing as a psychologist and then what we're required to do while interacting with offenders like within the prison like environment. So anyways, that is a separate day, but yeah, let's see. But anyway, so yeah, I feel like I can give my like professional opinion, but also it's kind of like, try to take my license. I don't give a shit. I'm not interested in being licensed, and I'm not ever interested in trying to like fit into the clinical psych world because honestly, like, fuck them all. Like, I have some, also, that's a different day for the story, but I had just pretty bad experiences. Like, I mean, I was within the like you know, clinical psychologists, like, in those positions and in the training for around a decade, and, have, like, thousands and thousands of hours, like, of clinical experience doing it, and, um, I feel like that's just as good as being, like, an active clinically, like, licensed psychologist, but the benefit for me is I don't have to worry about my license. I can be like, "Yeah, I know this information, but I also don't give a fuck about psychology or being a psychologist, so I'm gonna say what I actually think about this shit and not have to worry about it." So I feel like that kinda puts me in a special position to, like, be able to provide some insight into stuff, and I definitely have some opinions, so, um okay, Nick is the head prosecutor. Okay, interesting. I don't know why I didn't, like, learn their names. It was hard to follow the trial, like, day by day because of the, like, cameras not being allowed in the courtroom, to be honest, and I was a little more interested in the, defense, just in terms of, like, the lawyers and, like, what they were having to do, and usually I just assume that prosecution is always, like, jerks, and I really do not like the prosecutor in the Koberger case either, so but anyways, yeah, screw Nick. Okay, this is Jenny says, "I agree. It's not just but the girls' families are convinced." I know, and that's weird. It's weird that they're convinced it's RA. Like, I'm sorry that you think that, but, like, that's not our fault, like, that you either are believing propaganda, and that is shitty. It's, like, it is really sad that people would continue taking advantage of these already vulnerable families, but also, like, it's neither here nor there. Like, it's life. You know what I mean? Shitty things happen in life. It's not fair. And, like, we're trying to make it fair. And just because you guys are sad and think that you're going to maybe not be sad when someone actually goes down for this, it's kind of like, I mean, and I always wonder that because I mean, I watch a ton of true crime and I feel like I don't think there's been, like, maybe there's been one or two cases where you talk to a family member after they've gone through the entire trial process and someone was either, found guilty and, like, sentenced to life or maybe even given capital punishment. And then you ask them, like, this family that's been, like, searching for justice and demanding it and, like, just wholly invested. And I get that. Like, I can completely understand where it would be almost like necessary to be involved with that, if you were a family member of someone like that. But also, it's like, I just feel like, it's not like, I don't know. I feel like most people don't report ever anything changing. They're like, "Yeah, I thought I'd be happier," but really, I mean, we're never gonna get blah de blah back. Like, them being arrested, like, doesn't make Sandy be next to me anymore, like, and it is sad because then you're watching someone else's family be ruined. I mean, regardless of whether or not these people actually committed these crimes, like, that even if they actually were the offenders, like, they still usually have families that they're leaving, and that's sad, like, that sucks, like, yeah, maybe your dad's a monster or whatever, but like, that sucks for a child to be ripped away from their parent and to find out that their parent, like, did engage with something like that, and it's just sad that other families have to see it. Like, I would hope that people don't have, like, the, like, I don't know, darkness in their heart to, like, want to make other families suffer like their family suffered. It's kind of like, hopefully we are, but maybe not. Maybe people do look at it like, an eye for an eye, like, you screwed with my family, I'm gonna screw with yours, like, but I just don't think that's a very productive way to go about things if we're trying to, like, you know, create a safer and more healthier and wellness, well-being society. But I'm not obviously just pretty idealistic, but yeah, and the state's timeline is impossible. Exactly. Like, yeah, yeah, explain that, jurors. Like, how are you explaining that timeline? I mean, how are they gonna explain that? Because it's like, I mean, to do that all in 10 minutes by himself, I mean, like, the times that the bodies would have been there and, like, so many people wouldn't have seen, I mean, it just literally does not make sense. I mean, they must have all just decided, like, "Hey, we think he probably did it." Yeah, definitely the state doesn't have it all together. Like, we don't know for sure exactly what happened, but we know that he did it. Like, he was involved. So, I mean, do we really need to know all of the dirty details? Like, I wonder if that's kind of how they're, like, addressing it? Yeah, but like you said, already got scared, it took the girls to a creek, yeah, exactly, it makes 0 sense. Like, I wrote that in my notes too. I was like, "This doesn't even make sense, like, at all." and also, like, him not I mean, for someone that has, like, done a ton of psychosexual assessments on people, people that are, like, bad enough to, like, to the point where they're literally, like, saying people, like, children, like, girls, and then actually, like, taking their lives afterwards, like, that's a whole different level. I mean, grapes are bad, for sure. I mean, kidnapping and all that stuff, it's awful, it's scary, and but, like, if you're taking a literal girl and doing that and then actually finishing them off afterwards, like, it's just that yeah, it's just a different level, and, like, for him to say like, for him to have 0 history of any type of, like, paraphilia, like, with underage girls, having any type of, like, essay charge or even reports of it, like I mean, I've dated some super fucking sleazy dudes, right? Like, one in particular that was awful, and it was, like, a extremely unhealthy relationship. It was actually, like, violent, and he was such a sleazeball, and he would, like, rub up on people and stuff, like, I don't know, we'd be at a bar and then some chick would all of a sudden be, like, yelling at him because he, like, kind of, like, nudged her boob or something, like, side grab, which is just so fucking creepy, but, anyways, like, usually if someone's to the point where they're, you know, taking the life of a child and, like, having SAB their main, like, MO of this attack, like, he's 50, like, for sure there would be something in his history. Like, maybe his wife is just being a hush hush about it, but I feel like as a wife in that position, if you've been seeing these, like, kind of clues over the last, like, 20 years that you've been married to him, and then all of a sudden you find out that he's actually going down for something like this, that would be like an out. You'd be able to be like, "All right, sweet. I've seen this enough with my time with him, now I actually have the opportunity to be able to like, successfully leave because he's gonna be in prison, and, like, it just sounds like this completely came out of left field, like, and I don't think that she would cover up for him if that is true, like, it would make 0 sense for her to be covering up for him because he's in prison right now, like, what would she benefit from that, you know what I mean? Unless she's just completely deluded and dumb, but I just feel like I mean, again, like, there's no other, like, documented history of that for him, so I agree, it makes 0 sense. I really do wanna talk to this jury. Brad Holder, he also makes his what? What the hell? Wow. Okay, wait, so Brad Holder's the one with that is no longer alive, that owns the property, right? I'm gonna look more into him too, because I mean, he was always, like, kind of a suspect, right? But then somehow they ruled him out because he did they find, like, something in his, like, garage or shed or something too? I'm gonna have to, like, look into this. Although, also, I'm kind of like, should I look more into this because case is kind of over. I mean, obviously, the appeals are gonna be going through. I just can't believe that it's not a hung I was definitely thinking that they were gonna be hung and that we were gonna be going through this whole case over again. I'm very surprised, honestly. He's truly chivalrous. He's a truly chivalrous man. Honestly, I'm dumb, but I'm gonna like Google what chivalrous means because I feel like I've always in my brain thought that it was um like chivalry, like right? Like good. Courteous. Yeah. Wait, so wait, who's the chivalrous man? Brad Holder? Oh, you're being facetious. I get it. Got it. Yeah, people that make their own knives are like okay, like, also, I wonder, like, the knife similarity with the Idaho 4 case is interesting too, like, I don't know why I haven't necessarily thought of that before. God, there are so many similarities between these 2 cases. Um, okay, Judge Diener's stepmom okay, wow, okay, wait, I don't know if my brain is gonna be able to, like, compute this, but okay, so Judge Diener's stepmom is one of the 3 lawyers that prosecuted what? Okay, wait, Luttrell was the 3rd prosecutor who just got sued for bringing a false case against a doctor. Oh, wait, is that the one that you were mentioning earlier in the Lou Bell thing? My god, there's so much information. Wait, this is crazy to me, like, how is there this much information? And literally, like, I was looking a year ago into these other, like, associated, like, the killing of law enforcement officers, like, don't people usually give a shit about law enforcement officers? Like, um, so it's just like, what the hell is going on? it's really weird. Okay, Luttrell, yeah, yeah. Oh wait, Luttrell, not Lubell. Okay, Luttrell. Okay, I'm gonna look up. Wait, I'm confused. I'm gonna have to like relook at some of these comments and come back and watch it and actually take better notes because I feel like um okay, wait, hold on. Jen Melvin is a Julie Melvin is a local. She's a girl. Okay. Jen Melvin. I made a friend last year when I went to visit there. I like stopped at this bar. And I thought I was gonna like do some undercover work with like a biker gang that was there, but then they all left like right when I parked. But I made friends with another guy. And I was thinking it'd be cool to like try to get in touch with him and have him give me some of the lowdown too. But I'm sure like these people probably, if they're locals, I'm sure they would know who I'm talking about. Because he definitely seemed like someone that was like, he was definitely local. You know, people knew him at the bar and stuff. And he seemed to be like doing odd jobs for the bartender. Like he was like, I think he like took out the trash for like $10 and a beer or something like, you know what I mean? One of those setups, which is always fun. Like I actually lived in Alaska for a season. I was like for like, I don't know, 8 months or something in this small town called Cooper Landing. It was like 500 people that lived there. And I worked at this like little cafe, or no, it was like a bar restaurant called the Sunrise Inn. And they had the same idea. It was like just different people from around town would be like, they just had these like cute little like, but also it was crazy. Oh my God, that's a whole other story too. Yeah. I ended up getting like almost fired from that job because the owner, her drunk ass boyfriend was stealing money from her when because she was drunk all the time too. She had like been in she was a lawyer and she had worked on the Valdez like case and she got a huge like buyout with the case or something. She left. She ended up buying the Sunrise Inn, moving down to Cooper Lander like from Anchorage, and then just became like this huge alcoholic. Like every single morning she would be there like drinking champagne. And her name was like Mary Louise, and she what this is crazy. So she owned the Sunrise and she bought the Sunrise from this couple, and it was a married couple, and one of the women was a server there. Well, they started like they were separating, and Mary Louise started dating this dude, like the ex of the server that worked at Sunrise. Like it was messy, and he was a complete drunk, and he was stealing money. He would come in the middle of the night. He had keys to the restaurant, and he would steal just like money out of the register. And she like blamed my best friend and I because we were like the seasonal employees, and she basically like went around town like slandering us, saying like, yeah, the Minnesota girls are like. She said that we stole like $5,000 from her, and like we were planning on going back the next summer to work, and we were like, dude, like I mean, the town was 500 people. I was like, it's not a good look if like you're the one place you work, Mary Louise, the owner, is telling people that you stole. I was like, damn, I wish I would have stolen 5,000 fucking dollars from her, but I hope that she ended up finding out because then everyone, like especially the ex, like who's the waitress, she was like, he's she was like my ex-husband, like her boyfriend is obviously the one stealing. She's like, I know you girls aren't stealing that money, it's him. It's just so trashy. But it's small town stuff like that. But it's also small town stuff like where it's like, hey, if you take out the trash, like I will let you sleep in the campground for a week, you know? I don't know. And that's what it seemed like kind of like in Delphi at this bar too. It was kind of cute. I was like, this is nice. Um, hold up. Julie Melvin. Okay. Oops. And then cool. Oh wait. Okay, yeah, she was at the trial, super sweet, born and raised in oh, okay. Ooh, that does sound like a good one. A local historian, I'll say. Because there seems to be like I want to know about the settlers. And I was looking into that Kentucky case, and again, I feel like there's a lot of overlaps with that too. And there seems to be like some associations with early settlers and some of the overlap like with that judge. Like I think the judge was part of like the Church of Christ or something, and they were like part of I think maybe like early settlers, like Quaker movement, maybe. Don't quote me on that. And also, they shared like a lot of these like three main towns that it seems like all of these people came from. Like I can't remember. Okay, again, like this is just kind of like a blur in my mind, but I'll go through it again and like write down specifically. But I like remember it being like they were saying that there was like three early settler towns that a lot of people from these religions like kind of like settled in, and one was in Pennsylvania, and another one was in maybe Maryland, and then another one was like in Kentucky or something. And I might be like totally off from that, but again, as I start doing more research on these names that are being involved in this case, like these same spots keep coming up. And again, it's like maybe just because it's a small town and everyone goes the same shit, but it's kind of weird that it's like, these are places that are like, I mean, it's the United States. The United States is huge. It's kind of weird that it's like these reoccurring three, similar locations that are sharing like kind of similarities across country in terms of crimes. You know what I mean? Anyways, so I'll maybe explain that better in another one. But okay, Mount Rushmore. Oh, really? Is Mount Rushmore on? Okay, that's cool. Oh, you mean Mount Rushmore is the ley line or like the vortex in South Dakota? Okay. Interesting. Oh my God. So, okay, just little side note. My high school boyfriend, his mom was from the Oglala Sioux, like Native American community, and they like had a bunch of family that lived on the reservation, like down in South Dakota, like right. Well, it's like it was the Oglala Sioux is actually where was it Sitting Bull is from? What is that his name? Sitting Bull. Um, and like my high school boyfriend was actually part of like he was like a bloodline from the city. Why can I not? Okay, anyways, the huge mountain that they're making. So, anyways, it'd be interesting to hear some of like the Native American, like maybe folklore that surrounds like that area, and maybe why they did choose Mount Rushmore to put those heads there, and also why the Oglala Sioux is now choosing to make their own like huge um sculpture of the mountain too. And there's also like a bunch of like there's well, I just think of like Custer State Park is out there and like the forest too. But it's like where a lot of the oh my God, it's actually where a lot of the like old settler like Indian wars happened. Um, so that's interesting. I'm gonna look into that. Rushmore Vortex. Also, Oglala. And actually, like, his great uncle was like a really good artist that like has a bunch of paintings that actually were in oh Crazy Horse. Why was I calling him Sitting Bull? What the hell? But yeah, Crazy Horse. And he had like a bunch of his artwork up there. And for Christmas that year, David's parents got me one of his pictures from like the reservation that we had stayed at that summer. And they framed it and then they gave me a dream catcher too. Um so yeah, anyways, it'd be cool to look into some of their stuff too about that area because I bet that that's where all the settlers learned it from was from these like native communities, you know. Richard Allen is innocent. Chloe, I don't think you're necessarily wrong about that. Dr. Wall was communicating with Gray Hughes. Oh God, really? I mean, I don't want to say anything bad about Gray Hughes, but he gives me kind of the ick. Giving him all RA's behavior details and confessions. Wow. Walla was fired from the prison, but she's still employed at yeah. Okay, so I did know that because I have like listened now to and like read and I've gone over it like too much. Because I was like planning, I took a bunch of notes on it and like wanted to talk about it. But anyways, it is interesting that she still works for that contracting company. And I want to know more details about like the actual reason that she got fired. Like part of me wonders, like, just my experience working in the prison system and working from within the psych department and trying to provide behavioral health, support and psych services. If you do that in the prison setting, it's like extremely hard and you tend to get like kind of pushed out, to be frank. Like, I definitely feel like my supervisor, I was completely bullied out of the Department of Corrections in Minnesota. It was honestly like, I've never been treated that way before ever in my entire life. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I was bullied when I was like younger. I don't really, I know people probably like teased me and stuff. I always had a low voice and like my laugh is weird, whatever. But like, what I experienced at the DOC with my supervisor at Lino Lakes, which is like what made me finally be like, no, fuck you guys, I'm out of here. I don't want anything to do with you assholes. Like, it was like the way that they treated psych staff and the way that they expected us to interact. I mean, it was just, so I don't know if I necessarily blame Walla about that. Like, I feel like she was working under conditions that, aren't ideal. They're like literally contradictory towards how we're trained to practice as clinicians or, clinical psychologists. So I'll give her that. I definitely feel like, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to talk shit about anyone, but I'm just kind of like, Gray Hughes is a choice. Um, and it is definitely inappropriate that she's sharing his behaviors with the true crime community. Like, that's super inappropriate. Like, if she actually did that. And yeah, she definitely should have been fired because no, that's confidential information. But again, actually, like in prison, it's not considered confidential information. Like anything offenders tell you in prison, it's free game. And like that's why like I always told my offenders when I worked with them, I was like, don't tell me shit. I'm like, do not even mention it. And if they did tell me shit, I would not write it down. Like I would not put it into my soap note. If I took it longhand, I'd shred it just like she did. Like, and that's to protect your clients. Um, so and it kind of goes against the purpose of like the use of a therapist and a psychologist and like the services that we're supposed to provide, like doing it in the correctional setting. It's just totally like it's kind of like an oxymoron to be honest. So anyways, and it's like but it is interesting that they contract out her services because that means that there's like no psychologists in Indiana. Like at least like in Minnesota we have like psych departments at different prisons and stuff that it's very small. Like sometimes it's only like one psychologist or like one psychologist between two prisons or something, but um, they're definitely like Minnesota DOC employees, but our psychiatrists, which are like very much more few and far between, they are contracted out. So it's interesting to me that she was contracted out, and it's also interesting to me that her contract company is deciding to continue employing her. Like it sounds like it's just specifically Indiana. Like she's practicing across the border. It sounds like at like I don't know if it's in Ohio or where, but or maybe Illinois or something. But so that's just interesting to me. Like it seems like it was an Indiana choice, like not necessarily like her parent company choice. And obviously, this other prison system doesn't give a shit either if she's still doing it. But who knows the details? I feel like if she was sharing it with Gray Hughes, that's just unethical. Like, I mean, maybe it's not against the rules, but it's definitely like it's not chill. It's not cool to do that. And especially, why would you choose Gray Hughes to do that with? Like, I mean, he just gives off fucking offender vibes himself a little bit. I don't know. I don't know him. I don't want to say that. I want to start. I'm not here to like. I'm just here to share my thoughts, and I don't want to like really comment too much about any other stuff. But honestly, I do feel that way about her choice there. So I'll say that. Yeah, contracts with the DOC Centurion clearly needs to be looked into as well. And yeah, if they keep okay, so yeah, that's literally what I just kind of talked about. Yeah, it is curious, but again, like I feel like it's the kind of I mentioned maybe from the other side of things. Like, yeah, I want to get to the bottom of that. Like, I do want to figure out kind of what their like decision process looked like in keeping her employed. Maybe like I don't know. I feel like if Indiana was able to say we don't want her back, like in terms of like a parent company, I feel like that itself would be enough of a reason to be able to consider her like fireable. So if they wanted to get rid of her, I'm sure they could have. Like I doubt that there's anything that's like, you know, legally tying her there. But maybe I'm wrong about that. But yeah, I just wonder what the MO there is. And I wonder like how good of a like psychologist she is, like I wonder well, from the shit that I heard and I read, like I mean, she sounds like a typical prison psychologist, which in my opinion, most prison psychologists fucking suck. And they are super just they're trained literally to not be therapeutic. And like the way that they approach assessment and treatment is like completely different than just, the like clinical psychology in the community, completely. So I feel like the stuff that she did that people are probably like, that's questionable. Like, that's just the way they do it at the DOC. But to me, I'm kind of like, yeah, that shit is questionable. And like, if you continued working at a place like that, it's a choice. Like, I mean, it made me so discouraged and uncomfortable and literally like depressed and like scared. I was like literally scared to go to prison because of my supervisor and like the staff at the prison, not the offenders. It actually made it kind of an unsafe situation for me to be in. I think like it made me more vulnerable to possibly, because they were always like, I don't know, I'll get into that later. But, anyways, it's like you don't want to isolate people away from the staff when you're literally working with thousands of, you know, men that are known to kind of be manipulative and violent. So, I mean, it's just like, yeah, it was such a shitty situation. So, anyways, I do feel bad for Walla. She doesn't have a lot to work with. And, depending on what this like parent company is like, maybe they are just looking out for like her and they have faith in her, but maybe they're just lazy and don't want to fire her. I don't know. It would be definitely interesting to get to the bottom of that. Um, Where's Chloe? Completely agree. Oh yeah. I was like, where is Chloe? But yes, Richard Allen, innocent. Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's not necessarily like something that makes me say 100% he didn't know about it. There's things that make me think like maybe he was like the lookout guy or something. He does seem like someone that, at least initially, maybe would have been like a person that could have been easily swayed or kind of manipulated to be involved with something that maybe he was like in over his head a little bit with, I could see that possibly being the case, but 100% he is definitely innocent from what they are accusing him to have been to have done completely on his own. So, um, okay, but anyway, so that's the questions, and I've been on the stream for holy shit, almost 3 hours. You guys, thank you so much for being here. That means so much that you guys were like stayed with me this whole time. That's really cool. I'm just gonna finish going through these towns, I guess, on this like ChatGPT thing, and then I don't know. Honestly, I'm gonna try to like keep going on every day. Like, I know that like for the algorithm, like it's supposed to be like the more consistent you are with it, like the more they'll like up your like suggest your videos and stuff. So, and like I do feel like I finally have like mentally prepared myself to be able to be like, okay, this is uncomfortable, but you have all the information you need. You have a lot of shit to say, and just do it. Well, thanks, Jenny. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, happy 11/11 portal. Now we have passed, and oh my god, weird. My clock right now says okay, it's 1 1 1 2 2 1 2. I guess that's not that weird, but it is 1 2 2 1 2. Whatever. Anyways, a lot of ones and twos, but yeah, so let's work with the energy, and I hope that you guys are able to manifest everything that you want. And thank you so much for staying up late. And I guess I'm definitely not meeting up with people for a drink, but I can't believe that I was on for 3 hours. That's awesome. I was like, oh, I might get long, but I also feel like I did not go. I mean, literally, I got through. Oh my god, I'm like seriously pathetic. I got through one page of my notes, and I like literally have like pages and pages. So, anyways, if you guys have any feedback, I feel like I was scared to check comments and I just like don't want people to be mean to me. But also I just need to put on my big girl pants and like understand that like there's gonna be assholes on like the internet, and I know who I am and I know why I'm here talking about the things that I want to talk about and like why I want to do that. And if they're gonna be mean and leave me mean messages, so be it. You know what I mean? Like I will not let it hurt my feelings. But yeah, so anyways, I'm gonna start trying to read comments. So feel free to give me any comments about things that you think I should maybe do differently or that you would like to maybe have included. But I think what I'm gonna stick with at this point is just I think what I am definitely the most like apt to talk about, or like I don't know, not well, inclined, and also just like I think my opinion and insight is most relevant to specifically this case and the prison psychology aspects of this case. And so I'm just gonna continue sticking with that and going over that. Like, so I'll start back up. I think I'm gonna try to come on tomorrow. I don't really like setting a time, but tomorrow's Tuesday. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna come on tomorrow, but I will come on sometime tomorrow, and I'll try to, like, set it ahead of time, so there might be a little bit of, like, a heads up, but I'll just continue to get back on what I was talking about before, and I'll look into some of these things that I brought up and maybe do, like, a little bit of a reorg, but I really appreciate that you guys are here and, part of the community with me, and, yeah, I think oh, wait, no, let me okay, I'm gonna just finish this little, part because there's more ChatGPT stuff, but wait. Okay, so anyways, I'm just gonna this'll be it. So then wait, shoot, where did I leave off? Okay, so it says, Versailles was once connected to Madison and Indianapolis Railroad, 1830s Railroad. Oh, this is when I started talking about that vortex thing. Oh my God. Okay, this line helped link southern Indiana towns to larger markets. Though the original railroad isn't active, parts of the route are commemorated in regional history. Again, this regional history shit. Geneva. Geneva was once on the Grand Rapids and Indiana Railroad line, which connected Michigan to Cincinnati and had a notable impact on commerce in northern Indiana. Freight trains continued to operate in the region. Frankfort. Frankfort was a railroad junction town for the Nickel Plate Railroad. Nickel. So I wonder if that has to do with like a nickel mine maybe. And it connected to cities like Indianapolis and Chicago. And today, it remains a hub for rail freight, especially in agricultural and manufacturing. Okay. Dublin is along the route of the Old National Road, US Route 40, and while it wasn't a major railroad hub, nearby towns in Wayne County were connected to the Pennsylvania Railroad. Oh my God, remember I just said Pennsylvania. Like Holland in Dubois County was served by the Southern Railroad, now Norfolk Southern, and had some passenger service until mid-century. The area still has some active freight lines. Rome, Indiana was historically more dependent on river transport along the Ohio River than on rail, given its location. It had less direct railroad influence compared to other towns. Mexico, Indiana is located near Peru and would have benefited from all the rail lines in that area, particularly the Wabash and Pennsylvania railroads. These connections were likely used for agricultural transport. Railroads were essential to the growth of these towns, and while some rail lines have been decommissioned, the legacy of railroad transport continues to impact their economies and infrastructures today, especially through remaining freight service. Okay, well, we definitely heard that in the background at Delphi. I don't know what I asked next, but oh, I was like, okay, so this is maybe what I'll start off tomorrow because I was like, wait, can you give me more information about all of these things that you just talked about? And ChatGPT like, certainly. And then it talks to me about yeah, the Rotary Club and Old Perry Courthouse and this state historic park and the Versailles State Park and the Indiana. So these were all things that I was like, I want to know more information about that. So we'll revisit there. I'll just keep it here. I'll turn it blue so I know that that is where to start. Cool. Okay, well, thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate all of you, and please subscribe if you're not, and like it if you like the video. Again, like my goal is to get to 500 people by the end of the year, so I think we can for sure do that, and I would really appreciate it. It's free. Um, and oh, Nebraska. Nebraska's cool too. Like I actually have one of my best friends' family is from Nebraska, but all right, you guys. Well, I am gonna end the stream again. I really oh my God, weird. It was like when I okay, I'm going crazy, but when I looked at the clock, it was 3:03:33, and then there's three of you in here. But anyways, so I guess I feel like that's a sign from the universe is that like all of us in this room tonight are definitely bestowed around some energies that we can manifest the fuck out of it. So let's do it. And anyone else listening to this video too, you are granted with the universe's like, manifesting powers of the vortex. So do it up. But yeah, bless you all, and I really appreciate you all being here, and hopefully I will talk to you soon. Okay, peace and love. Bye.